The following program contains adult language and juvenile conversations. Listener discretion is advised.
March 30th, the Cove Music Hall. Darkness for Light, a benefit for Kim Cody, the Deadites, the Evil Streaks, Ballet, and the legendary Roger LaValle. We also have both hosts of the event on air tonight, one in the studio and one up his fucking ass. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Welcome all you little zombies. You're listening to Trick or Treat Radio, starring the Deadites.
Welcome to episode 295 of Trick or Treat Radio. Trick or Treat Radio is a phantasmagorical spin kick straight through the heart of pop culture, navigated by the Deadites. The Deadites are the world's greatest electroshock band. We destroy monsters, we drink booze, we win championship belts, and we have Raven Shadow on fucking technology, which is not a good idea.
It's a bad idea.
Raven Shadow, why are you phoning in this week?
All right, listen. We could be fair, Johnny. I phoned in lots of weeks. Now it's just official.
And yeah, except you're phoning it in, but you sound like shit. So that's the difference.
I'm calling from Monster Zero's phone.
It sounds like it.
So this is what it sounds like on the other end.
See, no, it sucks. It sucks because we're supposed to have the fourth nor'easter in New England.
It's not even fucking snowing.
No, it's a fucking boreaster. You know what I mean?
A boreaster.
But the problem is I get anxiety because I want to go and I want to be there with you and see the mystery guest. But I have to do several important things tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I live on hills. And normally I have a backup spot on the bottom of the hill.
What is going on?
But it's covered in snow, and I get anxiety, and I just have to be a grown-up, and it sucks, and I want to be with you guys, so I miss you. Is Nick there? That's who's there?
Nick, right. Ground control to Major Doofus.
I'm trying to...
Mars, please, let's get this back on the fucking track. Why don't you go ahead and introduce the guests that we do have in studio here?
The best part is that all show Raven Shadow won't know who.
Yeah,
it is.
he won't. Who? Who is it?
It's literally like podcasting with like the robot version of my Grammy. Oh,
In the chat room, Cecil calls him Cyborg Shadow.
it's true.
Yes.
Child Borg. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a lot to say about this cat, but we'll keep it brief on the front end. One of the hosts of the Darkness for Light benefit, someone else who was on our original list of people that we ought to have on this thing, and that is filmmaker, actor, writer Skip Shea.
My closest friends call me Kim.
The benefits for you.
All proceeds now go to Skip,
Kim
a.k.a.
Shea.
Kim Shea.
Kimchi?
And he has to handle Kamala's affairs.
Oh, man. Well, Skip, it's great having you here in studio. It's definitely been a long time coming, so it's great to have you here with us. And we're going to pick Skip's brain a little bit in the first hour as we just kind of shoot the shit. But later on, we're going to be talking about the latest film from director Adam McDonald and from IFC Midnight. And that film is, say it with me, everyone, Pyewacket.
Pyewacket.
Raven Shadow, what's the name of the movie?
Pyewacket.
All I heard was...
Yeah, it sucks.
Raven Shadow, why don't you have Skype set up? What's going on there?
Well, all right. I need a new phone.
You had a new phone for 3 years.
Well, fair. And we won't go to the Verizon store with me like I asked you to, like a gentleman. But I had like issue with like data, right? Data's bad.
What,
Data.
the character from Star Trek?
Yeah, fuck Brett Spiner. Anyway, I think my app went out of date, so I can't update my app. So I'm living on borrowed time.
Why?
So I think
Why can't you update your app?
because Johnny's not here.
But aren't you on Wi-Fi at your house? Like it won't take any.
Yeah,
data.
it could be. Oh,
I am literally
nevertheless.
gonna jump off of a.
You know, we could ask you to just, go on YouTube and research that shit yourself, but you probably don't even know how to go onto YouTube.
No.
Well, I'm gonna go to YouTube. That's why I watch Trick or Treat Radio.
I'm just happy that he's not like court sketching his like way onto like the show like that. Like that. That's the only way. He's not on the Telegraph.
So, Raven
But
Shadow,
if I-
you have a laptop, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting in front of it.
Okay. Did you get hacked like MZ did?
I fucking hope not.
No, that sucked, man.
I gotta ask about that. So,
Okay.
hold on. Before we do that, though, Raven Shadow, do a search for Skype. Type in Bing, and do download Skype. Unless you already have it. Do you know if you have it on the laptop?
I don't think so. So I'm gonna do Bing, and I'm not gonna do the .com because you yell at me.
As he took his headphones off.
I'm sorry, Skip. We're gonna have a good show, though. I'm hosting with you, by the way.
Hey, you got my name right. That's what we're off to a good start now.
Yeah, it's a good start.
I'm not gonna host from the phone. I'm gonna call from the parking lot.
Yeah, all right. So just go ahead and type in download Skype, and then follow.
All right.
This could be. You could end up with some like your dad type stuff going on here if you don't follow the right path.
Well, if I get bullet, I'm gonna be fucking doing some dead stuff.
And by the way,
Porn, Skip.
yeah, exactly. His dad once tried to search for our podcast on his phone, and he somehow found porn. So, all right, Raven Shadow, you work on that. When you have it downloaded, let me know. All right.
So it says download Skype. Just click on it and say yes to its commands.
Yeah.
All right. Get Skype from store.
What store?
The Microsoft Store.
At the App
Yes.
Store.
Yeah, get Skype from store. The blue checkbox.
Jesus Christ, this is going to be a nightmare.
Unbelievable.
Leanna's in the chat room, and she says he doesn't have Skype because he doesn't know how to install it. Probably, yeah, that's absolutely
No,
right.
yeah, that's a good bet.
And she says, "Oh my God, he uses Bing. Please tell me that's a joke." It is a long running Trick or Treat Radio joke.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really a joke.
We use it for our research needs.
And Leanna says this is probably the greatest beginning to the podcast we've ever had. There you go.
A free download.
You should
Jesus.
you should phone it in more often.
Sheep in a Shanghai basket.
So I'm clicking that. It's not like a trap, right? It's not like
It is a trap. You're gonna click that, and all of a
What is
sudden,
Admiral Lackbar? It's a trap.
He is
three easy steps.
he's Admiral Lackbar. Jesus.
you're gonna click on that, and all of a sudden, you're gonna get in trouble for having sex with a porn star, and then making her sign a non-disclosure
NDA, yeah.
agreement under an assumed name, and not understanding why that shit's not holding up.
The real Mike or the fake Mike?
Yeah.
Normally I'm signing that form. All right. What's my extension?
What's my expansion?
Extension.
What?
It wants to add my quick converter. Do I want that?
What is it?
I don't think I want that.
No, we don't know what that is.
I don't even know what you said.
All right. Tell me. It says to add extension to complete the installation.
Oh, this is gonna be a nightmare.
This is all your
Yeah,
fault,
exactly.
Wolfie.
It's not my fault. It's
It
his
is
fault
your
for not
fault.
being
He
here.
didn't make it snow. I don't think.
No, I made it not snow.
Can you do the snow crossfader?
No, but you got him going onto Skype.
Well, because it sounds like shit right now.
Do you think
Yeah,
he
you
sounds
were-
any more intelligent if he's in the studio?
You were only on, like, we only had to tolerate you for 5 or 6 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
To have to do the whole show like this is bad trouble.
Yeah.
Big trouble in Little Leicester.
All right, so I don't know. You just keep hitting yes.
All right.
Just keep clicking yes. Okay.
That could go
Oh,
so many
I lost it.
You lost it? I lost it. Like, did your laptop, like, scoot away?
The rats carried it away. Also, in addition to discussing Pyewacket, we're also going to the question of the week. I asked it yesterday, so we're probably not going to have too many responses. But the question of the week was, what is your favorite occult horror movie? So maybe we could all think of our own. And I have a feeling that one or two of the voicemails we have will probably tackle that topic. So favorite occult horror movie. We'll talk about that as well. And then we'll wind things down. We're probably going to try to keep it under 3 hours if possible tonight just because there is a pending storm. I don't know. I think it started snowing just as we were getting here. So,
Yeah, the Raven Shadow's not here, so I got to walk home. So we got to get out early.
yeah. Leanna says, Skip's just back there like, what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah, it's bad times. We're sorry, Skip. No one warned him. That's the worst part.
Yeah. And Cecil says he's got one of those 90s computers vaguely resembling every OS pre-1994.
Yeah, it's bad times. This is going to be like, remember that movie we reviewed, Dark Song?
Yeah,
Like, he's
yeah.
going to be in this fucking house for 4 days. Somebody's going to come shave his back.
And, good. Leanna says, mine will, Wolfie. I listed 2 occult horror films. Awesome. Looking forward to hearing that, Leanna. All right, so why don't we get into? We'll introduce everyone, then let's talk to Shay for a little bit about what's going on in his neck of the woods. So, I am Johnny Wolfenstein, the pencil pusher and producer of media for Trick or Treat Radio, the Deadites, and the Grand Guignol Network, and also one of the co-hosts of the Outside Corner Fantasy Baseball podcast and a co-host of the Five Horsemen Wrestling podcast. We also have the Immortal Gunslinger, singer and lyricist for the Deadites, and also one of the co-hosts of the Five Horsemen Wrestling podcast, Dynamo Mars.
My wrestling watching game is not on point right now.
Well, it took you like 3 weeks to watch one match,
One
right?
match, yeah, it's bad times. Like, and it was a match I wanted to watch, too. But
Oh, it wasn't Big Mike?
no. That almost made me stop watching.
I know.
But it was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Naito.
Yeah,
And it was
it was good.
yeah, it was good, but by the 4th time I had to watch the first 15 minutes, it wasn't good.
And Mars, this is the first time we've had you in studio in a while.
Yeah, I know, it's good. Right,
Maybe like a month, I think.
I would have been pissed if I went to work early now and it wasn't snowing yet. I would
yeah.
I'd have kicked a window out or something in spite, but
What's Oliver doing, Raven Shadow?
it's causing.
Oh, he's running amok. I think someone drove by.
It starts snowing. Is he your watchdog for the snow?
Oh yeah, he's like, you made a good decision. That's much better than sounding better with your friends.
All right, we also have... Shut up. We also have the vulgar guru of horror, star of Blood Pigs, Fetus, and the upcoming Morbid Tales, and also Septic. Yeah. And also, he's a one-time contributor for Horror Hound magazine. That would be Monster Zero.
Hi.
MZ, any updates about the films?
Nothing yet.
I saw Brian had posted something about Morbid Tales.
Yeah, he wants to get this done. He really wants to get this done, and he keeps shooting stuff for Septic and hopefully raising enough money to have the DVDs printed and copied and everything. And I'm hoping that something comes out of this. By the time
Morbid
Rocket
Tales or
Chuck
Septic?
Either or.
Yeah.
I would think Morbid Tales because that was taken care of first, but
that's pretty much ready to go, right? It's just
pretty much, yeah. Septic, he keeps on adding on. he keeps on
gotta use
adding
that
on
mute button, dude.
scenes. He keeps on adding these small little scenes into the film, and which is great.
Yeah.
Keep busy, but I want to see Morbid Tales finally get out there. It's been like 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. I spoke with I won't talk out of school, but I spoke with Brian today, and he's got some stuff going on. So bear
I'm gonna mute him.
with him.
Yeah.
Like things that have nothing to do with
like
filming.
real life business.
Right.
Everybody's okay, but like there's some stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I mean, obviously, like I think we're all in the movie, right?
I'm nervous actually because my character wears a mask, so he could be like doing fucking any old stuff with my character right now, and like I'm gonna have to explain that.
True.
Like he
That's
could
not me, I swear.
It could be dinner theater fucking end of Serbian film going on with, and everybody's gonna think it's me.
So yeah, can't wait for that stuff to come out, and then also via phone, which should be Skype, but he's on phone. We have the chain smoking, hand kissing, baby shaking, lorazepam loving, comic book reading nerd, the official smoke chamber for Castle Wolfenstein, and also for the Raven Chateau right now. You can smoke in podcast. You happy about that?
Oh man, it's magical.
He's the pimp of promotions, the Italian rapscallion, professional bullshitter, the cool principal, the proprietor of the sexy speakeasy, and the Parisian brouhaha himself, Michael Ravenshadow.
Babaleo, and I'm finding all about what's new in Skype for Windows 10.
Ravenshadow, I can just imagine. Were you counting down your titles at home?
I totally was. I was doing the hand thing I do.
Are you in the like the bar area, or are you in the sexy speakeasy?
No, I'm down in the lounge. Yeah, in the bar area,
Yep.
in the shadow nook.
Shadow nook.
Right, shadow nooks and crannies. I'll tell you that much.
There's a fucking English muffin down there.
I've been saving this for a special day, and now that he's there, Raven Shadow, you want to hear something about that room?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. What did you do in that room, Mars?
I had no pants on in that room one time. What do you think of that,
Nice.
Raven Shadow? Not for like sexy
I had no-
reasons, just because I thought it'd be funny, but
I'm wearing no pants now. It's a button-down shirt.
Podcasting without honor and humanity.
oh my
That's
god,
true.
I hope he has a shirt on.
All right, so Ravenshadow, you continue to work on that, and now since we do have Skip in studio here, and before we dive into talking about the film, I would love to hear. So Skip, if you would, just for people who may not know who you are out there, give folks the elevator pitch. Who is Skip Shea?
I'm a local filmmaker, screenwriter, sometimes actor. Mostly in the horror genre, but I've written all sorts of things at this point.
Yeah, and so Skip, it seems like last year you had right now it's kind of time for the Boston Underground Film Festival, and I think it actually started tonight,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. And I believe, was it last year that Trinity debuted?
was
Yep.
there at last year. Yep.
I unfortunately didn't get a chance to see it at Buff. I was at Buff last year, but I didn't get a chance to see Trinity. I'm going to actually pull up Skip's stuff here. So I'm looking on IMDb. And so you've obviously done a lot of shorts as well, Skip, right? Was Trinity your first feature, or have you already done other features?
Trinity was my first feature. I started this very late in life.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get I kind of looked at shorts like the Pyewacket Red Sox.
Yes.
Minor leagues, just so learn the trade a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then I figured I was ready, so then I just jumped into Trinity.
Yeah, and so what has been the response with Trinity? Because it tackles some subject matter that isn't quite easy to digest for some folks, I would imagine. So I guess give people a quick little rundown of Trinity.
Trinity is about a young man who's in line in a coffee shop, and he bumps into the priest who abused him when he was a child. And it's kind of it's pretty much that whole moment is what the movie is.
Yeah. Yeah, just from watching the trailer, it's seems like it's pretty intense. Is that something now? You know, I don't want to get too much into the psyche of Skip Shea, but is it something that is near and dear to your heart, or maybe not near and dear isn't the right way to word it, but is it something that is personal to you?
Yeah, I'm a survivor of clergy sexual abuse right here in the wonderful Worcester Diocese. So yeah, I felt the need to make this. I started all this with a one-man show, actually.
I was going to ask about that. Oh, sorry.
Turn your mic off, Mark.
I was fantasizing that I had power to turn Raven Chat off. I was actually going to ask about that because if they were related directly, like, or if it was a matter of like you just like had more to get off your chest, you know what I mean? But
the one man show was the everyone asks is this stuff cathartic, and I would say the one man show was I did it in I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
I was mostly a painter and a poet.
Yeah.
And then one day, this couple came into a gallery where it was showing artwork surrounding clergy sexual abuse, and they said, "You have to get this to New York. You have to get this to New York." And I'm thinking, if I knew how to get my art to New York, it would be in New York.
Yeah.
But no, it's here in Uxbridge. But I was like, had this like weird moment. I said, I know what I'll do. I'll write a one man show.
Mm-hmm.
And I started writing it in June of 2005, and I was on stage in New York that December.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy because the day before I was like, "What the fuck am I doing?" But that was the moment. I think when people I'm telling the story there, and it was loaded with comedy because you can't really talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people just want to kill themselves. And from there, it went to Jimmy Tingle picked it up, and I ran it in his theater in Somerville for a month. And then I toured pretty much the East Coast with it. And then after that, I decided to get into the movies. But, yeah, that was the moment when I think, saying it out loud to people and people applauding and listening, I think was the moment. More of why I did Trinity is there are so many people that I know that still haven't come forward and still won't come forward. And I kind of just want them to see that, I keep standing up there saying this stuff, and nothing's happening to me. It's liberating, if anything.
Right. Did you feel in making Trinity that if it wasn't cathartic, did you feel that like you were able to harness the darkness, for lack of a better way to put it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll always be with me.
Right.
And I think this is a good way to channel that stuff. And I think everything that I do, even in the smallest way, I'll take a shot at the Catholic Church.
Okay,
Yep.
That's fair enough here. I think that one of the reasons Darkness for Light is for a person that is very important to me and important to all of us. And one of the reasons that I approached you, in addition to the fact that anyone who knows us will say that we're passionate about getting the creative people in our circle out to the people who are out there. There are people in that chat room in California right now. There might be somebody from Toronto. Like I can't see it. Like, but literally
Japan.
Yeah. Like literally, like all over. That's totally a legitimate reason. In the cross promotion, it's great. And what's the other awful things that have happened and how you've turned them all into something. Like you've powered the bad things that have happened into something. And it was important for me, even as like a blurb, but let alone for her to come over and like speak with you and hug you, to have someone who, Kim Cody, who's going through like this awful, terrible thing right now to look at, who has like stared that darkness in the face, not trying to sound flowery or dramatic, but to put it bluntly, I guess, stared that darkness in the face, come out the other end and channeled it into something, and I think that's amazing. I know a lot of people who make things, but I said about her a couple shows ago, if I went through one of the things that she had, I would be curled up in my bathroom. And,
that's a typical Tuesday.
Yeah. Like, Too many Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
But it was one of those interesting things too. I knew, through our mutual friends and paying attention and looking at your stuff, I knew your backstory. But it kind of all hit me at the same time when I was thinking about it. And, for everyone in Darkness for Light and everybody here, like, I'm super stoked to have you involved and super stoked to have you on here. So, thank you very much, because it's not, I know a lot of people that make a lot of stuff, but it is an honor to speak with you, sir, and how you've managed to turn all this around.
Thank you. No, I'm honored that you asked me to co-host. I really am. I was thrilled when you asked, so I'm happy to help and do whatever I can.
Well, wait until you have to stand next to this Jamoke on the phone and then see how you feel.
It's gonna be good.
Within 5 minutes, he's gonna be like, "Fuck this, I'm out."
Yeah. Sorry, guys, I can't do this.
Yeah.
My favorite part is when Raven Shadow's going to come over to Skip and say, could you do the last 2 auctions? I have to walk back to my car, and it's 3 miles away behind a fence. Yeah, we've already covered, you won't even have to explain, actually. We've already covered why it's 3 miles away.
Yeah.
It's behind a fence.
Don't judge me on this meeting alone there, Skip.
Just ask Wiley. She'll tell you all you need to know about Raven Shadow.
So just to speak to that a little bit, Skip, was it a bit sort of, I guess, cathartic, or was it good to sort of get that off your chest, so to speak, in a way where you could put it out there and just sort of get your message out there?
With the one-man show, it was.
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, it was fun. I mean, at the apex of the show, I asked the audience everyone to stand, and on the count of 3, say "fuck you" to God with me. Now, when I wrote it, and I had all these jokes at the time. Bush was president, so I had all these, "fuck you" to God about Bush being president. I could do it now with Trump. I could have actually done it with Obama too. I mean, there were, but I didn't anticipate people doing it.
Yeah.
And the first time in New York, I mean, it was they shouted it. I'm like, holy my God! It's like I gave people permission to flip off God.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I mean, I think people, if they have anger, just get it out.
Right.
And I think at that moment, the first time that happened, and literally there was actually a priest in the audience. And I said to him, "You really don't have to stand for this, because you're not going to like what I'm asking you to do." But he did it anyway.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting. I've had a portion of this conversation the other day with our buddy Tiny White over sushi, because his family was very religious, to the point that it didn't hit me until, like, I brought it up because it dawned on me, because I realized that all, like, my pets were named after fucking Gizmo and Princess Leia and everything, but he had, like, Charity and Bishop, and I always thought that Bishop was from Alien, but nope. But
it's from X-Men.
Yeah, right. But we were just kind of talking about it, and I think that I'm a little on the other side than on both politics and religion than the other people in my band, but I would say that I'm a wavering agnostic, and I think at the end of the day, though, I think that the people who believe, if you believe that there is an entity like this, then you should hold them accountable in the same way that you hold Monster Zero or you hold me. Like, at some point, if somebody's running the show in any way, and a saint, like justify what's happened to you in the time of your life, justify what's happened to, like, what has Kim Cody ever done to anybody? I mean, I had cancer. I probably deserve that. But like, at the end of the day, that's a pretty strong message. If there is a God, like, I'm going to give, like, this will shut him up. Nope, sorry, God, that didn't work. I'm going to put this right on his fucking throat. But, like, I was just speaking to a classmate today that I didn't know very well, but she was friends with Tiny White. And like a classmate of Tiny Wife, and she has a rare disease called Eagle's disease, where a bone in her neck has grown into her throat.
Oh my God!
Damn. What the fuck? Like,
right.
This is just you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the, like, it's just making up new shit. So like if it is real, like that's like one of the coolest things I've ever heard, Skip, because if you believe that there's an entity out there, if you're one of those people in the audience, you believe, if you're that priest or Monster Zero, who is the brutal atheist, like then who. If you're Michael Ravenshell making duck noises on the phone, like you hold that person, you hold that person accountable. You hold that entity accountable. So that's like a cool thing. Sorry, I was getting all mushy.
I know you're still talking.
Well, I'm also not used to like.
It's true. You haven't had these mics in front of your face in a while.
Yeah, that Yeti. Anytime I feel like people can't hear me, I just keep turning dials on that until I can. So that's awesome, man. So I feel like fucking Chris Farley by the van.
Remember you did that one-man show?
That thing
that
was
awesome.
cool.
Fuck you to God. Yeah.
Remember that time he said "fuck you" to God? Real quick in the chat room, Leanna says, "I just looked up Trinity on IMDb. I gotta watch it." And she says, "Speak power to your experience, Skip."
Thank you.
And she also says, "Can we do it again on this show?" I think she's saying fuck you to God.
Yeah, well,
she says, "Speaking as a religious abuse survivor myself."
Oh, I'm very sorry.
And Leanna also says, "My puppy's named Princess Leia Mars, so I'm with you."
Good. I mean, not for nothing. Like I'm all for saying "fuck you" to God, but like we just dodged Nor'easter 4. So if somebody's in, I don't want to be like, "Oh yeah, it's supposed to snow today."
You're just gonna drop 12 inches on us at once.
Right, like fucking.
That sounds like a party.
That was a tough. Not to go on a tangent, but that's something I've been like, kind of like, how there's some things that like I just put a fucking hair on your tongue, and you're always kind of looking for a reason to talk about it. Like, I appreciate any like good vibes that people want to send to me. I'm never one of those people that say like, don't say Merry Christmas to me or whatever.
Right.
If a Jedi fucking walks up to me, like I'm happy that he asked to have the Force be with me, even though I can't harness those mystical, magical space wizard powers. But like you end up getting like really like bitter about it, and maybe it's something that I'll come, the other way around. When things happened to me and people were like saying like, "Oh, I'll pray for you" and whatever else, I was like, "Thank you, thank you, I appreciate that." But when Kim was really, really sick and I was getting that, like, I was like, "Why don't you just fucking call Narnia?" Like it was just right. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, I feel like, she's sick, she's gonna lose her house. Like that's not helping. Like bring a $5 bill. Like that says in God we trust in it. Like so. At the end of the day, like it's just a strange thing. Like as open as I am to everyone else's beliefs, and as open as I feel like everybody should be, I feel like sometimes you have to realize that like it's not helping. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like prayers for the site of prayers for Austin, Texas right now is very nice, but like shit's blown up.
Right.
So.
Well, they supposedly caught
he
the guy.
blew himself up. Yeah.
Well, didn't cut.
himself
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, but
They just caught the pieces.
I think he was in a car. It sounded very dramatic, actually. Like not like, but like yeah, like it's one of those things where I feel like the problem with and why we can't communicate as people is that people are. Well,
No, we're gonna try something.
okay, people are so. If I know people who would shut off if forget about saying fuck God, just about hearing what you had to say about it. You know what I mean? Because they are so hardwired to defend that, not just that ideology, that institution.
No, I had a no. People walked out.
Sure.
Even people walk out of Trinity. People have walked out of Ave Maria.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll sit in the back and count. And the more they leave, the better I feel.
Yeah.
Good.
But there was this one guy. He's a Boston actor and an older gentleman, and I ran a Jimmy Tingles for February, so he like brought a date in on Valentine's Day. I'm like, dude, this is not a Valentine's Day show.
Yeah.
This is not. And she walked out, and he had to chase her. And then he came back the next night with someone else, and she walked out. I'm like, okay, you're dating the wrong people. And he told me that the second night, the person actually literally made him pull over so she could say the rosary because she just saw Satan on stage.
Wow.
And I said, can I get a plaque that
pretty
says that?
awesome.
Because I really I want to hang that somewhere.
And what's amazing about it is I remember distinctly when I first met you, I was walking with Miss Wiley down the aisle at Rock and Chuck, and she introduced us. And I remember like walking away, and like we all three of us went our separate ways, and I like caught up with her. I'm like, so this dude makes horror movies? Are we sure?
Is this the right guy?
Because like I've been hearing about some of this stuff, and I don't like. And she's like, no, like, and just like you are, for folks that don't have never met Skippy, is like just such a class act, and like such like a credit to the community. Like, you know, just even hanging out at like you sit. He sat at a table with me and El Goro, and it wasn't like a thing. Like, how do you fucking make your way into that verbose fucking duo? But,
yeah.
You know, like it. And
El
it's just,
Goro doesn't talk as much as you.
well, nobody talks as much as but he sounds better, so it's worth more. I'm 50-cent things, and he's $200 words. But like, you know, like it's just so funny. Like somebody called you Satan, and that is the opposite of your demeanor. You know, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah.
This,
Oh yeah.
This asshole Satan.
Yeah. Leanna says Skip Shea, official theater Satan.
All right.
It's a new title.
Why
I'll
not?
take it.
You gotta get T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're trying something new with Raven Shadow. You there, Raven Shadow?
I'm here.
You sound somehow worse.
Really?
You sound actually
sounds
a little
clearer.
bit more clear, but you sound further away.
Yeah.
How about now?
Now you sound
you-
perfect.
Say something, you douche.
Oh, I put him on speaker by accident. All right, there we go.
I'd like to meet him.
Now you sound good.
I'm here.
Yeah, you're just
Yeah, you're not.
you're just a little wet, as we might say in the business. Like, but you know, it's not bad.
I am a little wet.
Wow, now you
That
sound
sounds
really
good.
Now you sound good. Yeah, you gotta just
Does it sound good now?
Yeah.
you're just gonna
Better, yeah.
press like
Yeah,
your
Figaro.
indignant button, and you're okay.
Yeah.
It was his idea actually to use Messenger.
Really?
Yeah, so it's his idea.
Wow, good for you, sir. I'm very proud
That's a
of you.
shot in the
See?
dark.
Because I talk on that sometimes to people.
Oh yeah, you talking to the Cabal Corner guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I messenger all day, dude.
I wouldn't brag about that.
Well, Skype's confusing because it keeps talking about Discover cards, and I can add.
Wow.
I told him I wasn't a robot.
I told him I wasn't a robot. Oh,
None
shit.
of them knew they were robots.
Yeah. Leanna says, no, I agree, Mars. If you believe in something and want to help, sending your prayers is fine, but action would be appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, that's really it at the end of the day, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I have a friend who is he is a pastor's son, and I appreciate like I've been friends with him for years and years, and I appreciate everything like that he believes in and what else, but what means more to me than, you know, any words that he has is that once a year he goes down and builds a new church for a community that might have lost one for some reason, and they will also build they were one of the first people on the ground in Springfield that were like civilians, you know what I mean, when all that went down, and you know, all sorts of hurricane relief, like, you know, he
Belief?
relief, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Hey,
I turned him off.
yeah,
Hurricane belief.
yeah,
You sound better now.
yeah.
All
Fuck
right.
you, Sid 3PO.
I used to name the kids thoughts and prayers because they're fucking useless. Be like, honey, what are the thoughts and prayers doing today? Oh, smoking dope in the bedroom is good. Who's fucking shoveling? No, it's nice. Have a bunch. Kids are fun.
Did
Take
someone
pictures.
just turn your fucking on switch on?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm coming down to the studio. Fuck it.
No, you actually sound better than you do in
In
the studio.
right?
Man, you're full of piss and vinegar tonight, dude.
Yeah, I'm mad. I'm missing Skip. You know, sucks.
You're missing Skip. You're run afoul Skype.
Yeah.
Skip and Skype.
Yeah.
So Skip, with Trinity, is it somewhere where people can watch it, or is it something that you're waiting to release?
Yeah, I had a couple of offers for distribution,
good.
And I didn't like them.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to bring it up to Montreal in July.
Cool.
Bring it to the market up there. By then I'll have a few things to bring up, so I'll shop everything.
Good.
Awesome. Yeah. So if folks out there want to check out Trinity, it is. You can't stream it anywhere right now as of now, but Skip is shopping it around, and if we get word that it'll be available, then we will let you guys know so you can check it out. And
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you? Is there any available video or audible? Man, it's like he's not here, and the fucking ring disease slips over to the next person. Is there any video audio of the one man show, or is that something?
I think some of that is actually up on YouTube. Cool. A little bit of it somewhere.
I found there's the Trinity trailer, which I found on YouTube.
Yep.
I'll post that up so people can check that out if they would like. All right. So yeah, we'll post that up. So you guys will have to hang tight, and then as we get information about distribution with Trinity, we'll let you guys know. Sure. But how about your short film, Skip? Are any of them available to watch online if folks were inclined?
I'm not sure if Ave Maria is or not.
Okay.
It'd be on Vimeo.
Yep.
And if it's on private right now, when I go home, I'll take it off so then people can watch it.
Okay. So if you guys out there want to check it out, just do a search for Ave Maria on Vimeo. And, once again, if it's not available right away, Skip's gonna enable it so you guys can check that out. Cool. So are you doing anything this year with Buff?
I'm not. I'm in the middle of not in the middle. I'm just once it stops fucking snowing, I can finish this other movie. I'm working on a movie Seeds right now.
Yeah.
And I'm so close. And then what I need is these exteriors.
Yep.
That I cannot get right now because of the snow. But I'm well into post with everything else I've shot on it, and actually Wiley's in it.
Nice.
Should have seen with Barbara McNulty.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Barbara.
Yeah, well,
Nice.
This is to anyone in the Worcester area who wants to make movies. Just pay attention to who is coming to Rock and Shock.
Yeah.
And then ask them when they're hey,
Well, they're already here.
you want to be in my movie, because you don't have to fly them out here. You don't have to. They already have a place to stay. They're already eating.
Mm-hmm.
So you just if it's a 5-minute scene, you can get them in. I did this. Lynn Lowry was in Trinity for the same reason. And actually, she won a Best Actress award for her role in Trinity at Horror Hound last year.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, which was curious because she's in it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But we'll take it. And we'll
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah. Now,
we will take.
now you got an award-winning film there.
Yes. Yeah. It's actually done fairly well. I think it's probably won about 20 awards.
Yeah.
And twice it actually, the last two that it won, it actually won Best Drama. So it was taken out. Some people are viewing it as not a horror film, which kind of surprised me.
Does it bother you? I know that
No.
sometimes. Yeah.
No, no. Thank you very much for that award.
Right.
No, no, that and I'll take anything. I mean, it straddles the genres. I mean, this is why that sometimes bothers me, is because it still seems like horror is regardless of what happened at the Oscars, is still that genre that people look down on.
Right.
People don't like horror; they like psychological thrillers.
Exactly.
It's the same fucking thing.
Right.
Yeah, and calling it a drama just gives your movie, at least to them, it gives the movie a little bit more credibility.
Right.
Right. Which is just, it's just as credible before.
Yeah, exactly.
My introduction to you, Skip, was seeing. I think only part of. I don't think I saw the same thing. I was hanging out with an actress that you worked with, and I saw some of Micro Cinema.
Ah.
Oh yeah,
Which made
that's right. Our friend
meeting you,
Pantophobe.
Yeah, which made meeting you more befuddling to me.
Yeah, our friend Pantophobe, aka Aurora.
Yeah, she's actually in she is my favorite.
Yeah.
And now a lot of people are going to kill me because I called out a favorite. but she's like in everything I've done. She's the hero in micro cinema. She's the hero in Ave Maria.
Yep.
She's the spirit guide. Actually, she's in Trinity. She's suicidal ideation. She plays literally my daughter in Seeds. I mean, I love working with her.
Yeah.
She's and plus she's. We kind of have the same sensibilities as that. Yeah, we're making a movie, but we're not curing cancer.
Right.
So, we don't take ourselves that seriously. I love to say that I'm an artist, and
Jesus.
Maybe he needs a phone. I mean, I love the notion that I'm an artist, and I think artists are very important in the world, and they're very much needed. But I also love hot running water, so I think a plumber is just as important as I am.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
It's all part of the overarching thing. I just think she's terrific.
She is.
Yeah, she's a great lady.
So
She's cool.
If you must have seen the whole. It's only 6 minutes long, so you probably saw the whole thing.
I think so. I don't.
Of which micro cinema?
Microcinema.
I'm not sure. I'm not positive. I feel like something.
Oh,
might
you would remember if you did.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one that put me on the map.
Yeah.
Like in a hurry.
I think that Michael Raven Shadow is dead.
You're just trying to deflect.
No, I like
Not
really,
yet.
No, I started to get confused as soon as I heard like it sounded like glass breaking and like whatever happened on the other end there. The dog stopped barking.
I dropped something.
We heard.
I have great Foley here in the Raven Chateau.
So Skip, I want to ask a little bit more about Seeds. Obviously, it's not done filming yet, so we don't want to have you give away too much, obviously. But is it a feature length film?
It's a feature.
Great. And obviously, it's it'll be available when it's done. I'm sure it's that kind of deal. You still have to film some exteriors and everything, and I'm sure edit it together and everything.
Well, most of the edit is done. I just
great.
pretty much need to drop these scenes in. And I was talking to the guy who's going to score it today.
Yep. Oh, great.
And we've already gone over notes for that. So then after that, then I'll pull in someone to mix the sound properly.
Yep.
And then we're good to go. So I'm really thinking, by May, the end of May, this thing should be done.
Oh wow,
Nice.
that's
Wow.
way sooner than I expected. That's great. So hopefully you're going to try to enter into some festivals
yeah.
later this year. Yeah,
Yep.
great. Yeah, it's good to have. I'm sure that having that sort of extra star power will certainly help get it in front of a couple more eyes, which hopefully we'll get some more eyes on it and perhaps some distribution.
You mean co-host the Elm Street Kids?
I mean everyone that's in it.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not what he meant.
I was talking about Barbara Manglefield.
Well, I was Ave Maria was screened at the Interiora Horror Festival in Rome, Italy.
Yep.
And that was great for me because I this is like me delivering this message to the
directly
to the homeland.
to the so I went, and my wife is a dual citizen. She has family in Rome, so it's easy for us. We have a place to stay.
Yeah.
And it actually won the audience award for best film.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So and then there was a festival a year later in Neptune, the western coast of Italy, Dario Argento's festival, and he screened Ave Maria. So I have like this small following in Italy.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Barbara McNulty's
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Let's keep that
It
going.
works.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Sure.
That's really cool. I'm really looking forward to the further development of Seeds and being able to hopefully be able to check it out eventually and talk about it. So we'll definitely update folks about that is if they can catch it at festivals or if it would be available to check out. So yeah, looking forward to that one a lot. Anything else? Obviously, you're not just a filmmaker. You get a lot of other stuff coming up. But is there anything else that you wanted to speak about? Any projects or anything like that? Skip?
Well, one thing I actually wanted to ask you about, this stuff, it's probably tougher for me than it is for you at this point just to talk about. But can we talk about the Shawnee Film Festival?
Oh, sure.
It came about from maybe the worst thing that could ever happen to a parent.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I lost my daughter Shauna in a car accident in 1999. It was, and she's an identical twin, so her twin sister Erin at 16 had to then try to navigate life through that. So it was brutal, and I was literally because of the church stuff.
Right.
I was like a raging alcoholic, so I was 13 months sober when she died. So I can at least say she had me sober for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it was brutal. But the town of Uxbridge, who I have like I still live there, but I have a very strange relationship with. Shauna's classmates the next year they did a walk and they raised $10,000.
Oh wow!
So that we started the scholarship just in Uxbridge at that time, in her name. And then we were just trying to figure out what the fuck to do to raise money. And we didn't even raise money every year. We'd kind of wait till it almost ran out, we'd have to do it because Erin, tried a golf tournament. We all fucking hate golf. I don't even like people who golf. So it's like that wasn't fun. And we did a band thing, and that we raised some money, but not much. And then I finally said, "What? Fuck, I know all these filmmakers. Like, what am I doing?" So we started a film festival. I should know how many years ago, but I don't. And it started one block of shorts in Millbury at the Elm Draft.
Oh yeah.
And now we're 3 days, 2 venues in Southbridge.
Wow.
In October, and last year we had the world premiere of Dogged. The year before, Luigi Cosi brought his film here.
Oh wow!
And Luigi came. Yeah, so I mean, we're this little festival in Southbridge that seems to be getting all this really cool stuff. And we now give a scholarship in Southbridge as well, and we give out a fellowship to first-time female filmmakers, which I can't believe I just said it right now because I can never say it when I'm announcing the thing. So it's a good way to keep Shauna alive and her memory alive, and I think with us being a fringe film festival, it kind of really honors her more because I'll tell you, the identical twins, but Erin was second in her class. She was, and she still is. She's just an unbelievably bright person. Like if Shauna got to see, I'm like, yes, school was not the most important thing to her. She had other ideas. So I think that the fact that we're fringe and that's where she would be.
Right.
So it's kind of cool that we're able to honor her like this.
Yeah, that's really cool. And
Yeah.
It's great to see. It must be really gratifying to see it grow from a block of shorts to now doing this with Luigi Cosi, and it's really cool to see it kind of grow like that.
Yeah, we were stunned actually. All of a sudden it was just 2 years ago was the turn.
Yep.
And then last year we had Dogged, and then we had Manny. Do you guys know Manny Serrano? Fed Estates. They came up from New Jersey. That's a great movie. Some people came over from Ireland with their movie. So now filmmakers are traveling to this, and not for nothing. It's Southbridge,
right?
Yeah. This little town,
but we the Starlight Gallery and Club is the home base for us, and then there's a little another art gallery that we use to show the film. So the Club gallery is like great for horror movies because there's a bar right there. Sure. And then when you have like the artsy documentaries and the experimental films, we put those over at the art gallery. So now we can actually keep cater to the crowds this way.
Which is important. As someone who loves all kinds of movies, I know that not everybody loves all sorts of movies.
Right, exactly.
So I find it a lot with music, like even on this bill, that Dorito time.
Jesus.
The Evil Streaks and the Deadites are very different musically, despite the fact sharing a member. But they.
It's so weird having it detached like that.
It's like Ghost
Bumble
Dad, but Ghost Dad now.
Naked Ghost Dad.
But it doesn't work as a show without that like spooky like thing to it. But I know that some people that might be there for those two middle bands, may not like they might be turned off by the last band or whatever else. And obviously being the type of thing, and everybody wanted to help, we just made it like a goulash of things. But like it's an actual. I'd love it not to be, but it's a thing. Like people are just like. They like what they like, and they're not going to cross that line. I mean, look at this guy. This guy will tell you he only likes horror, but get him talking about Full House.
Or Mr. Belvedere.
That's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Skip, ask him about fucking Starscream and Full House. You'll be out of your fucking mind. That's a fucking horror movie.
And Skip, when is I don't know if you mentioned it, but if you had be worth repeating is when does the film fest typically run?
Columbus Day weekend.
Okay, great.
Right.
So
or whatever, however you want to phrase that weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I have my dates right, that's October. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So if any folks local or if they want to travel for it, you can keep an eye out for the festival. And I assume it's way too early to make any announcements about any programming this year.
I might just tease.
Yeah.
That there is a good shot that Luigi may have another movie done.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Wow.
So
that's great.
It's going to be a sequel to Hercules, please.
I don't know if you saw Blood on Millier's Moon. That's what he showed here. It took him 30 years to make it. And
wow.
I was really, he waited. I think it was like 30 years before he made the next movie. And this is, I'm like such a geek. I would stop into the store when I would visit in Rome, Profondo Rosso, and would just chat. And then I had to go over and I actually got a scene for Trinity shot in Rome. Some company wanted me to use their technology, and they said, what do you need? And I said, well, I need Rome. so they flew me. So we got the Vatican in it.
Wow. Nice.
So I went and, I said to Luigi, I'm shooting something. And then he literally said, well, why don't you come to my editing suite and you can watch me edit Blood on Millie's Moon. I was like a kid.
Wow.
I was like, that was just great hanging out with him. And then he came here for it. So it's just cool hanging with him. But he was really confused by Blood on Millier's Moon because it was getting good reviews. And he kept looking at me, I've never got good reviews before.
That's amazing.
That's just good. You know what's funny that I just realized, we're talking about Columbus and the Vatican. That's why Michael Ravenshadow's not here.
Listen.
He knew that we would bring some disparaging thoughts to the homeland.
Yeah.
Well, listen. Columbus ain't no friend of mine, but Tony Soprano.
Tony Soprano.
He's good.
Tony Soprano.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah, that's the role model you want.
Yeah.
Tony Soprano.
Raphael.
The Ninja Turtle.
And Donatello.
Michelangelo.
Right?
Yeah. The girl one.
The girl one.
I just found out that was
Venus.
a girl one.
Yeah,
Wow.
Venus.
In my other life that I have now, that was on.
What, intravenous to Milo?
That was on. I'm like, oh, there's a new Turtles show. And now the children who were around me learned a new word that they didn't know before, and that was sheep in a Shanghai basket. There's a girl turtle, and all they took away from that whole thing, Shanghai.
Shanghai, yeah.
That's enough out of context that no one in the house knows why they learned that.
Leanna says, as a Cuban, we should disparage Columbus. He killed the native population of my country. There you go.
Listen.
Listen.
No, I'm on Earth.
I'm not saying mistakes weren't made, okay?
Jesus.
No one liked Mussolini either.
You were born to be the president of the United States of America, sir.
Listen, I'm gonna have a space force.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You actually, you're fucking more qualified. Yeah. Seriously.
I am more qualified.
The best part is like, how are you going to tell people about the Space Force? Like, you can't use Skype or any sort of communication or
Can't tweet
email.
anything.
Well, people come to him
All right.
at that point, right?
Yeah. No, Johnny's gonna be my Secretary of Information.
Secretary.
Evil Corny's hanging out now, and he wants to
Hey.
know, MZ, could you do the Urkel dance?
Not the whole thing because I haven't got it memorized. But I know there is a Urkel dance on one episode of Family Matters. There's this whole like music video dedicated to him doing that stupid fucking dance, and he gets it, and it's one of those things where he starts singing and dancing, then all the other kids around him at the party start singing and dancing along with him. You know, it's kind of like the what was it? The sacred African tribal dance,
Anteater ritual.
Oh, the
Anteater
ritual?
ritual. You know.
MZ could definitely do Ed Grimley though, that's for sure.
The sad thing is, I actually know the African anteater ritual.
You should
whatever
teach
was.
it to Round Trip Jones so he could do it on stage.
Oh, he's done it. I've seen him. Yeah.
Shit on my house.
Yeah.
Was it Courtney Gaines?
James.
Yeah. You shit in my house.
Shit on my house.
Months of Zero, I apologize for how cruel this is going to sound, but like in my peripheral, I've been trying to figure out what your haircut reminds me of, your new haircut, because it's throwing me off how short it is. And it kind of reminds me of when Chet gets elephant balls or doesn't get elephant balls. I'm going to give you a set of elephant balls.
Wyatt, I just want to tell you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I've been a shit to you all these years.
We should just get here, Raven Shadow. We should just try to quote that movie in its entirety. We could probably pull it off, or close to it.
In one show?
I got it for Kim for Christmas, and I was confused that she hadn't watched it yet, but it's on my Voodoo, so she'd been watching it consistently.
On your what?
It's my Voodoo.
Okay. I thought you said
I'm not
Vodo.
him. Do you think I was confused by that fucking you?
You said Vodo.
No.
Yeah.
This in the 9 fingers in the Ring of Doom. I was singing token bard songs. Never kissed a girl.
Leanna says that the sad part is Raven Shadow is actually more qualified to be president, that is. And then she says, how does Trump know how to use social media better than Raven Shadow? Trump's 70 years old. Raven Shadow, what the fuck?
Listen, he has people and a network, and so do I, but they're not here right now.
Now.
And Corny says he did it on Full House, too. There was a crossover episode, MZ.
There is. That's right. There is.
Oh my God.
Good call.
My virginity has grown back.
No, there is a crossover episode.
I just can't
Someone
like
called Robert Ironsky.
like how do you just how do you just buy the horror crossover encyclopedia with introduction written by Dynamo Mars? How do you like decide
Hey.
what to watch once this year? I just can't imagine like Serbian film, Sanford and Son, Salo,
porn.
yeah, Salo. Oh, Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah. You know, it's there's a wide range of entertainment out there, and I love it all. So, and
The
I
Gong
am
Show
fascinated by
movie.
that
you know,
cue.
kind of like like remember Robo Urkel?
No,
No, there was a couple episodes
Oh,
actually,
Jesus Christ.
in which don't give me your crap.
I had friends.
that,
so
that had I know I stayed at home on Friday nights in my
Sure.
20s. That Robo Urkel and
How did we get here?
and the guy inside the
next,
Robo
John?
Urkel suit was Turbo in the Breakin' films.
Oh, I love those
Oh,
movies.
nice. I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Remember Turbo. All right. Well, I think it's Skip's gonna hang out. You gonna hang out for a little bit more and talk about the film, Skip?
Oh yeah.
Okay, great. So we're gonna head to break in just a moment. Raven Shadow, so get ready for that.
I'm gonna go
What are you gonna do, Mars?
Nothing.
you were about to say something.
I am so not used to like having like a live mic that every time I don't like, just so you know, like 90% of Trick or Treat Radio now, like is off with me doing like different shit that I have to do like over the course of the day. To actually be here and like be held accountable to what I'm saying and doing is really throwing me off. I'm dressed.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a break in just a few moments, and we're going to come back and talk about Pyewacket. But before we do that, really, I've said that name about 40 times. It still fucking makes you chuckle.
I was laughing watching the movie.
Wow. Jesus Christ. Jeez, man. You're fucking hopeless.
Skip, that's a funny name, right?
6-year-old.
Skip, listen, Skip. Don't embarrass me in front of Skip. Pyewacket's a funny name, right?
No.
Pyewacket
Oh.
was actually the name of the cat that Kim Novak had in Bell Books and Candle, the Jimmy Stewart movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Also, it is.
See,
I'll go fuck myself
that's
then.
an old man quote, right?
No, I know the movie. I just never made the connection.
And you never did your research either.
I don't care.
But it is a reference to. We'll get into it. We're not talking about the movie just yet. But if you guys want to support the show, head over to trickortreatradio.com. On the right-hand side, you're going to see a few links. You're going to see a link for Amazon. If you click on it, bring it right to Amazon, and everything you purchase in that session gets attributed to us. Doesn't cost them any extra, Raven Shadow.
But it helps keep the lights on.
That's right. You can still be involved even though you're at your house.
And I appreciate that. Thank you for thinking of me.
And if you guys want to buy stuff on the store, you can go ahead and click on the store. And we got some digital content. We got Trick or Treat Radio Greatest Hits Volumes 1 through 3. We got some premium content up there. And then there's also some T-shirts. There's some buttons and some CDs and other stuff. So give it a look if you want to help support the show. Also, we have just a regular old donate button. If you want to go ahead and use PayPal, you can donate some money to help pay for the show. And also, I think I mentioned the last couple weeks, but it bears mentioning again. We are now available on Spotify. So if any of you guys out there want to listen on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, Satchel Podcast Player, and now Spotify. So if you want to, go ahead, give us a look. And also, if you guys ever want to leave feedback, we usually kind of forget to mention this, but it's podcast@trickortreatradio.com. So go ahead and if you want to leave a voicemail, leave an email, you can do that. Or if you want to tweet at us @the Deadites, is the way to get a hold of us. And with all that being said and out of the way, Raven Shadow,
Yes.
What did you do to prepare to watch Pyewacket?
I get a lot of anxiety, Johnny. You know what I mean?
Shit.
'Cause
That's like your gimmick now.
Well, I got fucking mental problems. I get things going on, but no, because there's a different thing going on, and I had to bring the dog to Ollie to a follow-up vet appointment.
How's he doing, by the way?
He's doing good.
He's not limping anymore?
He occasionally limps, but he made an attempt to jump on the bed today, and that's kind of my litmus test. It's kind of like when Bruce Wayne has back broken, and Dynamo, you know this, when his back was healed because he ran onto a healer chick out in Casablanca with Alfred on a separate adventure, available in Legends of the Dark Knight. But he wasn't ready to come back to being Batman, but he would stand on the precipice of a gargoyle looking down on Gotham City. And he wasn't ready to do the jumping, so he's like, I'm gonna let Grayson do this, and I'm gonna go just kind of figure things out. But when he finally defeated the Jean-Paul Valley, aka Azrael, and he became Batman again, he jumped off the Gladiator precipice and swung.
So Ollie's good.
So he's doing better.
I couldn't tell if the dog made the bet or not.
I thought the dog might have jumped off a gargoyle.
The dog swung off the gargoyle and onto the bed.
It's just like that. I got a very high bed.
Do you play lava floor or with him or what?
Listen, there's a lot of things. Haven't been here in a while. There's a lot of stuff going on. I look at my own devices. I got hammocks. So,
Don't you got a
and I'm
thing
not
to
sure.
say?
So all that's going on, but worked out. And in the last hours, Johnny, I know he's getting nervous because he's motherfucker's gonna call me. He's gonna need certain things. And he's not gonna be able to figure it out. But you know what? I did, and I sent Johnny a text that, hey, I'm ready to go and do this. And I think he was proud of me in a little bit of way. And then I strapped on.
Whoa, before we strap on, I got to read your text.
Come on.
So Raven Shadow says, yesterday at 7:21 p.m., yo, your boy got access to the email and the movie's on pause, ready to go. So we actually got a screener for this one. So that's sort of where he's at, because I wasn't sure he was going to be able to access his own email.
Because I was locked out of my email since I got my new computer.
So I said, look at you, nice job. And then you said, I'm going to fix XSplit next. And then I said that you're probably going to hack the election now. So you're slowly building up there, Raven Shadow.
I'm fucking trying. When's the next one? 20 whatever the fuck?
20 whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
For the presidential? 2020.
Yeah.
2020. You got a long way to go.
Shouldn't you
You
try
don't
to
even
be
know,
like
'cause
on
I mean-
the school board first or something? Like work
You don't
your
have
way
to
up?
do that.
Yeah,
You just gotta say inappropriate things.
Touch people inappropriately.
No, that's somebody else's gimmick, but you can do that and then be just mildly charismatic, which I feel I'm mildly that. What do you call it? Satisfactory?
What about your constituents?
Oh, geez.
My constituents.
Can we please?
Listen, constituencies of what is it?
Will you just go to break, Johnny, for fuck's
It's gonna be
sake?
a fucking dope caucus.
How long are you going to let this run for?
All right, Raven Shadow.
Grimlock.
Raven Shadow, fucking strap on.
I'm fucking trying, man.
Do you love to dance? The Big Scary Monster Haunts at Midnight is a collection of dark songs about sex, love, death, revenge, and the end of the world. Brought to you by the world's greatest monster hunting electroshock band, the Deadites. Available on iTunes, Google Music, Amazon, CD Baby, and all other digital distribution sites.
I'm Mike Allred. For the gidgiest listening experience, you gotta check out Trick or Treat Radio.
My name's Jason Voorhees from Camp Crystal Lake. And since I only ever kill people that had sex, all those little virgins on the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group have nothing to fear from me. They're too busy talking about horror movies, comics, video games, RPGs, and all the disgusting, dumb, nerdy stuff that those boys on the Trick or Treat Radio podcast talk about. They'll never have any time to meet a girl, and if they do meet a girl, she'll just be as dorky as them. That's right, the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook page has tons of girls on it. Well, 4 or 5, get 3. A few girls, all right? Now get off my back. They only gave me $50 to do this promo. So go to Facebook, search for Trick or Treat Radio, join the group, and stop talking nerd. When the show ends, the discussion just begins. Copyright. Fuck you, Michael Raven Shadow.
Hello, this is the Sasquatch, aka Bigfoot, but you can just call me Frank. And when I'm not stomping around the woods throwing rocks at hunters, I like to listen to the Paranormal Punchers podcast. That's right, Paranormal Punchers. They talk about all things paranormal, and they're hilarious. Go find them on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and ParanormalPunchers.com.
right, we're back on Trick or Treat Radio. And we are going to talk about a movie called Pyewacket. Right, Raven Shadow?
Yeah, we are.
All right, let me get everything pulled up here on IMDb. I'll give Mars time to get back in here. All right, so Pyewacket.
You smoking?
Yeah, he's smoking for you because you're not here. Right, Mars? You were smoking?
Yes.
All right, Pyewacket is, I think it's listed as 90 minutes, but I believe it was just under. I think it was like 87 minutes. It is a horror thriller written and directed by Adam McDonald, and it stars Nicole Munoz, Laurie Holden, Chloe Rose, and Eric Osborne. In the synopsis, we have a frustrated, angst-ridden teenage girl awakens something in the woods when she naively performs an occult ritual to evoke a witch to kill her mother. And this film is, as of the time of the live show, it still has not hit VOD. Like I mentioned, we were able to get a chance to peek at this a little bit early, and it will be hitting VOD on the 23rd of March. So when this hits the podcast, it'll be available. So if you guys like what you hear, you can go ahead and check it out. It's from IFC Midnight. And the film, as I mentioned, directed by Adam McDonald. He also did a couple years back a film called Backcountry, which we sort of had on our radar, but we never got around to doing. Did you ever see that, Mars? Backcountry?
The one with the bear?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I know that our buddy Professor J talked it up, and I think he had a screening of it down in North Carolina. And I remember he had mentioned that he enjoyed it. So I had not get a chance to see it, but if Jay likes it, then it's got my interest. So
Monocle.
It's really weird having you on the phone. It's like a disembodied voice. And also a fun little fact about Adam McDonald, the director. He once played Rick Savage in a Def Leppard TV movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they made 2 of those too.
It was called Hysteria, the Def Leppard story.
That was the VH1 one. That was pretty good.
Yeah, looking at him, I could see how he could pull off Rick Savage.
He looks just like him, I think.
Yeah.
So he played Rick Savage.
I can see that.
I wonder if it was it with both arms or just the one arm?
That's not the right.
The guy, Rick Savage. Is
Rick Savage was not the drummer.
Shit.
He was the short-haired guitar
Now
player.
I feel like a jerk.
Right?
No, that's Phil Collin.
Oh, you are right. Yeah. Phil Collin had a lot of hits on his own, right?
Was it Rick Allen?
He
Was
did
it the drummer?
Tarzan.
Rick Allen. Rick Allen was a drummer. No, is his last name Allen? I don't think so.
We're
I'll
really,
look it up.
we're really calling upon your
Yeah, you love Def Leppard.
You're limited.
I do.
But,
I do.
It's Rick Allen.
Oh, it is Rick Allen. Okay,
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Wasn't sure.
But not to put him down. It's fucking impressive that dude still plays drums. But
right.
okay, so he played Rick Savage.
Well, he's
Okay.
only putting in half the effort. He only has one arm.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, shut up. Just shut up.
Hey.
Well, he still puts in more effort than you.
Yeah.
Oh, hell, he's getting paid for it.
Oh, shit. All right, so Pyewacket, Raven Shadow, you love this fucking name, don't you?
Yeah, it was cute. It was cute. It was,
It's
little
cute.
kind of little, little whimsical a little bit, but kind of dirty, which I like. Both those things.
Well,
dirty.
the film features Laurie Holden, MZ, from folks who would know her from The Walking Dead
And The Mist.
and The
Andrea.
Mist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's
on
been
my
a
list.
host of other stuff as well. She's not just limited to those, but
No.
I thought this was a pretty interesting role for her. And she was able to kind of show a different side of her that you may not see from Walking Dead and see a little bit more range. And also Nicole Munoz, I thought was good in this as well. And she, I think up to this point, she had just done sort of, she'd probably been an extra in bit parts. I don't think she has had some major, like she was in like the Tooth Fairy, Pathfinder, Fantastic Four, but I think they were all like little bit parts. So,
Tooth Fairy.
You know, to say you were into Tooth Fairy and the Fantastic Four is like a. You'll never work in this town again. That's not too.
Yeah, that's not the best pedigree, I would say.
That was the old Armageddon Deep Impact thing too. Two Tooth Fairy movies came out at the same time.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now. Yeah, there's another Tooth Fairy movie.
Well, actually, I think that another one came out, but Darkness Falls was supposed to be called the Tooth Fairy too.
The sequel?
The sequel?
The Tooth Fairy as well.
Oh, we also have First Time Mike. He says, what's up, family? How's Raven Shadow checking in? That would involve Gasp technology?
Listen, I'm fucking trying First Time Mike, okay? I suggested Messenger.
You did. That's like your got the table now.
It is. I'm doing some new things. Does it sound better? Is it horrible?
Yeah, you're fine. Leanna says, this is when we're talking about comics briefly. She says, MZ's face immediately shadows over. The comics are being said. Come on, man. We had to listen to your sitcom rant. You can handle 15 minutes of this.
Oh, Leanna's so fucking smart.
I don't get to talk about sitcoms that much.
No.
And you were asked about it.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And then Leanna says, Raven Shadow rambling about a presidential campaign while Mars sits there with the filmmaker he idolizes is quite possibly the most Trick or Treat Radio thing to happen on Trick or Treat Radio.
Very meta.
And First Time Mike says, oh, I missed that sexy Mars. How you doing, my dude?
Hey, how are you? It's me.
Yep, in person. Live and in person.
I don't know how I sound when I'm not here, but I suspect better than Raven Shadow.
Yes, you do sound better than Raven Shadow. All right, so let's jump into this flick here. So there's a lot of different sort of ways I want to tackle this, but so right off the bat, I don't want to get too much into the plot. I feel like we sometimes when we talk too much about it, we delay actually discussing the film. So we don't really need to tell you too much about the plot because it hasn't even come out yet for some of you folks. But basically, the basic setup is we have a single mother, and the father has passed away somewhat recently. I think probably I'm guessing within the last year. I believe it was said. And
do we know that though? Do we know the father died?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
We do because we watched the movie.
We watched the movie Raven Shadow.
Well, I'm watching it right now. That's the fucking magic. No. No, I'm sorry. No, I knew something happened. I thought he might have died, or maybe he went away because of the mom's reaction.
He couldn't drive up the fucking hill.
There's a line in the film.
It's a big fucking hill, Johnny.
There's a line in the film in which the mom says, "Everywhere I look, it's like a funeral parlor." Or
Yeah.
It reminds
me of a funeral parlor.
of his funeral.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
then she said the daughter's face reminds her.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Oh.
Got it.
Yeah.
So this is sort of the mother. Like, there's a scene when the daughter goes in to tell the mother that she's going to a book signing, and the mother is crying, and so clearly she's still broken up about this. It's still fresh enough. I don't know if I can't recall if they mentioned a time frame, but it's still fresh enough, and the mother's having a hard time getting over it. And it seems to me like the daughter, who's played by Nicole Munoz, her name's Leah in the film. It seems like she has sort of got in. I don't know if she's been friends with these kids, or if she got in with this crowd. And they're sort of like they're the metalheads, the sort of like I don't know what you want to like call them, but they're into metal and they get into the occult. So it's sort of like. It's a bit of a caricature, I think, of that. But
though at lunch at one point they're listening to pretty wimpy synth pop, and for me to say that, any synth pop is wimpy.
But I think that they don't explicitly say it, but I think that it was basically because maybe she sort of gravitated to this after her father passed. Maybe it was part of her way of sort of dealing with it. They don't really explore that too much. But it is something that seems like it's a fairly new concept to her and the kids, kind of getting into the occult, so to speak. And actually, this is probably a good thing to have, to have Skip in here in studio. Is what I would say is, to me, this seemed like it is the occult through a Christian lens. Like, this is not necessarily what the occult is. It's through a specific lens of what people think the occult is like. Would you say that Mars or Skip?
No,
you
no,
guys think
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And that generally, that's actually, I'm going to promote myself here, but that's actually why
Yeah.
I'm making Seeds.
because
Because I want to shift that lens.
Yep.
Because it's it's always evil. It goes back to the Christians versus pagans. This is a typical folk horror film. With the pagans are always doing something that deals with evil or with Satan, instead of just doing something that deals with the earth.
Right.
So they've I felt that this is definitely through that same lens, especially when she talks to the author of the book.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And so I thought, when seeing this, I was trying to rationalize: is this done purposely, or maybe is this what the writer knows? Like, is this their version of the occult based on how, based on their upbringing, or was it specifically utilized in this manner? Because, it is sort of, and like you were saying, Skip, a lot of times, like, paganism was.
It's a perfect time to do the dishes.
I think he's drinking and or smoking. I'm not sure.
No, I'm listen. I'm waiting for my turn.
We're having a conversation.
Hey, a little bit of judgment on that side of the table. I'm not there, but I know the judgment's flowing.
All right, let's get back to the topic at hand. So,
Pagans.
Yes, pagans. So, Raven Shadow, pagans aren't bad. You know that?
No, well, did you ever see the film Dragnet?
How did I know you bring that fucking movie up?
Pagan. They fucking shaved that fucking tiger, whatever the fuck. Remember that?
Jesus, my life is bad.
Didn't pagan believe in bad sex and good drugs? As a cornerstone for a great democracy?
Yeah.
That's my fucking platform.
People against goodness and normalcy.
Yeah. Watch out, Muppets.
A weird thing happens with this movie, though, that I thought the very same thing that you did, because they have, like, all this sort of, like, ham-handed, both in, like, kind of the very, like, myopic, religious view of the occult, and both, whenever you introduce, like, someone involved in a film, and similar to how the girl got the Ouija board at the fucking newsstand, like, whenever you,
Veronica,
whenever you introduce someone, like, at a book signing, and we're supposed to buy that person actually has any, like, skin in the game of, like, knowing anything about the occult for real.
Yeah.
Like, it like almost like discredits it in a way. So it made me think that there was going to be not actual, like, occult happening. You know what I mean? There was going to be, like, like a attempted occult, but, like, the fact that it happened, I feel like started things off, like, very unbalanced, because, like, I felt like they didn't make it seem like this shit could work. It's like building the
almost kind of like Fright Night.
Well, or like something is, like, ham-handed as the gate, but that's not obviously, like, very serious. You know what I mean? It's like the spaceship in Explorer is actually working.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and so as we sort of, we had this encounter with the writer. I don't recall the name of the book, but it was basically like, it seemed like, baby's first satanic rituals. Like something sort of like that. Was it sort of like river flow? I can't remember.
Art Bell would have made fun of that guy.
Yes.
I like that they made him very credible by saying he's from Providence, Rhode Island.
Right.
Yes, exactly. I thought that was funny as well. So we have the the author, and so these kids, there's like 4, I would say maybe you call them outcasts. They don't really show, like, there's one scene where, like, another kid bumps into Leah, and kind of like, hey, like it was one of the, like, the cool kids maybe bumping into her. So it seems like these kids are sort of outcast.
Sure.
And, they wear all black. They're kind of like black metal patches. I also saw like a hymn patch, the heartogram, and
Hot Topic goth.
Yeah, with a a little extra black metal thrown in that typically you don't get. With
Again, it also seemed like that was someone's like a weird view of like what the metal thing was. You know what I mean? Like they were all kind of wearing like Canadian tuxedos in like 2018. Like,
the black version. Yeah,
I've never seen those kids.
And so you could be right. Maybe that is through the lens of what someone thinks these outcasts, like ne'er-do-wells, kind of what they dress as. But yeah, and and obviously in the movie there's also some there's, like you mentioned, Mars, there's some new wave, but there's also some black metal music and sort of more atmospheric stuff, which sort of sets the tone a little bit as well, I guess.
Sure.
So the crux of this, and we're gonna basically talk about what is spoken of in the synopsis. I don't want to go too deeper into that to get into spoiler territory, but I've also seen in one other synopsis, it talks about what the major turning point is. And so we have Laurie Holden's character. Her name is, I don't think she had a name. It's just she's listed as Mrs. Reyes.
Mom.
Yeah, so she's just the mom. So yeah, we'll go with mom. So she can't live in this house anymore. She keeps thinking of her husband, and it's just really hard on her. So what she does is she goes and signs a lease at a new place without telling her daughter, and basically tells her when they have just a couple weeks left, and is like, "Hey, we're moving." And obviously, the daughter has her friends, and it seems like it's kind of like her solace and her safe place is being with her friends. Mm-hmm. So when taken out of that and moving, and she still gets to go to the same school. Like her mom drives, I think it's an hour each way to bring her to school every morning.
2 hours.
I think she said 2 hours every day.
Yeah. So that'd be an hour each way.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that part kind of like took me out of it a little bit. Listen, it's not easy to fucking sell a house, right? Unless you're gonna give it over
Come on.
Seriously.
Come
no,
on.
but for real, unless you're gonna like give it to the bank and like run for it like Danzig, leaving behind his fucking toys. If you saw that fucking thing. Like,
What is
you got people
going
coming
on?
in looking at it.
There's a fucking demon in this movie.
Raven
and
Shadow.
You're talking about fucking real estate.
What the fuck?
You gotta get to make sure there's certain things done. They might come back and say you gotta move that hedge, you gotta fix that leak. Like there's a lot of things going on.
This isn't happening.
So
Have you ever heard of
Will you shut up?
Have you ever heard of cinematic shorthand, you dummy?
well, that's like cinematic fucking don't even give a fuck, because then you're gonna move into the woods. Like, how are you gonna maintain that property?
God.
You can see there's leaves falling.
Jesus Christ.
She ain't got a snowblower, and she wants to work from home. How's that fucking internet gonna be out there in the boondocks?
All right, stop.
All right, Skip, listen. You make
listening.
movies, right? It's fucking weird, right?
It's fucking weird.
Well, right, it is right now a seller's market, so I don't know.
Fair. But no, I mean, like, listen, your kid's fucked up. She's going through a hard time, hanging out with bad kids. Maybe you want to, like, make it a little nice, make her involved in the process, get a family thing,
Have you, Raven Shadow? 2 questions. Have you heard of cinematic shorthand, like ever, one time?
Yeah,
Yes,
Johnny just said it.
Right. Have you heard of Chekhov's gun? Because I'm gonna
Yeah,
fucking
and
shoot you with it.
That's what Kirk never gave it to him.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it's my, no.
You said
all
you
right, all
did.
right. So they quickly, a fast sale, as they say. She took
Maybe she just signed the lease at the new place, and maybe it was just a fucking lease.
But that's rude, though, because
It's rude
no
to
one's
sign a
bothered by
lease.
that.
No, not in the lease.
I totally get that Ben probably taught Luke some shit while they were flying to the fucking Death Star. You know what I mean? We only saw him hop into light space.
Can we get this guy back on the phone?
It was better when you couldn't hear us very well.
Leanna knows what I'm talking about. All right, so
no.
she
All right.
moved to the woods.
Jesus Christ. Whatever momentum we had, I don't even know where it fucking went. Q-Buster. So The other thing I thought was funny, and this kind of lended some credence to the thought that this was through the lens of a Christian, was when she was flipping through like her bookcase, some of the bindings of the book said Satan,
Right.
A Hecate, and like all the that's all it said. It was like names of characters who are deemed evil.
It was like evil Mad Libs.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was kind of funny, and in hindsight, I didn't realize at the time. It made me kind of chuckle, but in hindsight, I do wonder if it was just sort of done in that manner. Like this is what a Christian assumes that someone who's into paganism and a cult would have.
Is it?
I think so, because if this was someone who actually studied this sort of religion, I guess you could say, they would have the lead character Leia would have taken it, I think, a little bit more seriously than she did, because she was rather frivolous with her decision making in.
Well, that was certainly. I mean, there's a reason for that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But still, it's I look at it. I saw it as being a little bit frivolous.
Yeah, I saw that as being a teenager.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
I mean, if she was really as serious as she figured that she was going to be, invoking who she invoked.
Well, let's back up real quick, because I was just about to mention something that'll lead into that.
All right.
And so they move, and obviously Leah's not happy, and the mom's still trying to settle. And the mom says something really fucking terrible. She basically she says that every day you remind me of him. Like I can't even look at you and not think of him, or something like that. It was pretty fucking egregious. And
I want to pull your face off.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was even worse than I thought then.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's Hannibal Lecter now.
Yeah.
She was channeling her inner Nick Cave.
So it's the mom said something really kind of terrible to the daughter about that, and so the daughter ran upstairs, slammed the door, and basically said, "I want you to die." Like that. That's sort of the whole thing. Like most kids, well, I don't know about most kids. I don't think. I think most kids have said, "I hate you," or something along the lines to their parents that they maybe wish they could take back, right? So I think that sort of is where we're going with this, is that Leah says and does something that she immediately regrets doing and saying, and it's really all about I think it's about belief and guilt is sort of what a lot of the rest of the film sort of encompasses. And so when she says this, she goes into her books and pulls out, like a book of rituals, and from there finds one that's going to summon a witch. Now it wasn't super clear. I don't want to get too deep into it once again because of spoiler territory, but it wasn't really clear what she was doing necessarily. She just said, and I think there's a point to that. I think it's just that she blindly sort of went into this thing, and was just like, "Hey, like I want you to die, Mom," and and just sort of like half-heartedly sort of did this ritual, and then completely regretted it right after. So, and then we're dealing with the ramifications. I think it was about the halfway point maybe of when the ritual took place, and then we're dealing with the ramifications of what Leah has done, and how her mom sort of apologizes, and it's kind of heart-wrenching when her mom is like apologizing and being super sweet to her like the next day or the day after, and Leah's seeing these signs sort of that, leading her to, hey, shit's gonna happen. I made the wrong decision. I probably shouldn't have done that. And I thought it was interesting that the mother, Laurie Holden's character, was very remorseful at what she said, and she can apologize. But what Leah has done, if what she did worked, she's unable to undo that necessarily. So that's sort of an interesting dynamic, I think, between the mom being able to apologize and Leah not being able to do anything there. So I guess do any of you guys have anything to add to that about about that kind of scene and the ritual? No. All right. Raven Shadow. Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, people are there. Yeah, no, it was definitely a spur of the moment. I mean, she was pissed. She's being taken away from her friends. The mother even kind of like, talks smack about her friends, which doesn't help any teenager, be open to dialogue.
Right. She said a lot of shitty things. So I don't think it necessarily was enough to warrant what Leah did. But I think that's kind of the point.
I have an interesting thought, or maybe dumb, but do you think like the really superficial context of all the iconography and the like even the books and stuff like that is because we were kind of seeing this through like a trite teenager's eyes?
I did think that, or I hoped that, I should say.
Yeah.
But part of it, I mean, I'll go back just to the mother. I mean, I was completely thrown off by the character. The first thing, Mom, I'm going to a book signing. And the mother's despondent on bed.
Right.
Do what you want. I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
Then she comes. She comes home to a mother waiting. I just called the library. Where the hell were you? I'm like, okay, what happened to the despondent lady on the bed?
Yeah.
Well, she sobered up.
I don't know if she was drunk. I think because she was looking at pictures that she had hidden under the bed that the daughter found later, and crying.
Oh yeah.
And I just think that they couldn't get the mother right with this. I mean, I'm gonna say, I really did enjoy the movie, but they just couldn't get her right because all of a sudden she's now moving, and then she's insulting the daughter, then she's making pancakes. It was the mother was all over the place.
Well, the Leia was. I think those tracks were covered when Leia was saying that I don't know who I'm coming home to anymore, and so that that line gave the mother character free range to be any way she wanted to be at any given time in the film.
But I mean, like when you if you're looking at this through the point of view of like a fundamentally. It is my experience. I've never had one of my own, but I've been rotten with being surrounded with them at times. That teenagers are on their best day, kind of monomaniacal and definitely, like I guess, in a more impolitely selfish. So if you're seeing a mother who's trying to deal with a real tragedy through this girl's eyes, she's not going to look like somebody who's coping. She's going to look like a maniac. So that's why I wonder if this whole world was colored and decorated like in a triteness that would be as of a teenager's.
And the more we talk about this, the more I am of the belief that it is, because that would make more sense, because there were a lot of I don't think I obviously don't know Adam McDonald, the writer. But I would imagine that he's probably doing this for a reason. I don't think he's just going in and half-heartedly writing a book that has to do with the occult, I guess. Or writing a film, I'm sorry, that has to do with the occult, and just kind of like willy-nilly throwing things in here that he thinks might work. I'm sure he had done some research. So I don't want to, sort of not give him credit. And the more we talk about it, the more I do think that it may be through Leah's eyes, and especially because a lot of the things are just off a little bit. And that would explain, I think, the point that you were talking about, Skip, is the mom was really all over the place. Like it was one moment she's flying off the handle, and so I think that maybe it was directly through Leah's eyes, because we do get a lot of, if I recall correctly, we do get a lot of sort of like shaky cam kind of following her. So I guess that would make sense, and obviously not something I pieced together while watching it or directly after, but I mean that's kind of why we do this. It's kind of the fun part of realizing things that we may not have like thought about at the time of viewing it. So it does make me think about it in a slightly different way. And as we get to the we're not there yet, but as we get a little closer to the ending, I did have some issues with the end, and but our discussion actually makes me kind of rethink how I thought about it a little bit, because if it is through sort of a different lens, or even through Leah's eyes, I think that kind of changes my perception of certain things, and it's sort of an interesting way to look at it. So, and that's why I like doing these discussions, because it sort of brings more stuff to light like that.
Well, that's something too, because wasn't there a line with the kids? They made a point and be like, "Oh, we should treat parents like here. We're supposed to look up to our parents, but they're just like us." So there was some, you know what I'm saying? What that line was?
I remember something along the lines of that. But yeah, I don't recall the line verbatim, but yeah, I do recall that.
And it was kind of throwaway, but I think that's an interesting point. Like I really thought the mother was drinking pretty heavily, but
That's
as
through
we
your eyes.
discussed, that's what I was doing. But my dog don't judge. But but no, but yeah,
You should
I
actually
didn't think
follow him
about
on
photos.
Instagram if you think that.
Yeah, Ollie's definitely on Twitter. He like 6 followers.
Yeah.
But that's like 50 in dog years, so that's good. Like he's
50.
doing really well.
All right, never mind.
I'm gonna hang myself.
I don't know.
The one thing I will say though is it is interesting now to think of it in a slightly different way. Regardless, though, I think this movie had a great sense of dread throughout.
Yes.
And even there wasn't much that happened in the first half. It was really a character study and getting to know the characters. And there really wasn't anything to speak of. Like nothing major happened except for these characters interacting. And despite that, I still was pretty captivated by what was going on, and with the relationship between the characters, and that only sort of ramped up a little bit more at the once the ritual sort of took place. And from that point, I think the dread really kind of ratcheted up pretty nicely. And even though there wasn't really anything necessarily scary on screen at times, there was definitely this overwhelming sense of dread throughout. So I thought that was well done.
Yeah, it was handled really well, and there was a scene. There was a scene in which the author of that book is talking to Leia.
Yeah, on like the kind of FaceTime call.
Yeah,
Skype,
in
whatever.
the mall,
Yep.
and he's talking about how don't believe your lying eyes, which I thought was really interesting, because that brings that
Yep.
brings us into the movie now. Now we have to start deciding what's real, what's not, just like Leah does.
I feel like he was just quoting Don Henley.
I thought that too.
Well, maybe so, but it is once again you mentioning that and sort of us taking a this idea that it was through Leah's eyes.
Yeah.
That sort of brings us, kind of makes you think of it in a different way.
It does.
Yeah.
And that line stayed with me when the film ended.
Yes. Yeah. And there's
Where
some.
go ahead.
There's some stuff that happens directly after that obviously is sort of a kind of foreshadowing to some stuff that was about to happen. So yeah, it was I think that this film was nicely paced, and there was just sort of the right sort of information at the right time for you to sort of think about things in a slightly different way. So I think that in terms of that, I think it was well executed. And like I said, I really enjoyed the sort of dread factor here that was going on. And just one other kind of point, this is a little side tangent, is and I watched this movie with T-Dog, and so she knows a lot about this sort of thing, so I always kind of lean on her for this sort of thing. But a lot of times the symbology, the symbols don't really matter as much as the intent, because the symbols and the ritual just sort of focus you towards what your intent is.
Right.
So I thought that was really kind of interesting, because so the occult thing wasn't really, it was just a vehicle to kind of like showcase this, but really the heart of it was what her intent and what she wanted to happen. And so I thought that was pretty interesting, that of how they sort of showed that. And and I think I think they alluded to it a little bit later on. Maybe it was the conversation with the author again. I don't recall, but I think when he was telling her about how she might be able to undo things. So,
Yep.
Once again, that's just to kind of focus you, so it is kind of interesting that this could have been anything, but it just happened to be the occult, And I guess we'll jump to, without talking about what happens, the ending really came out of left field for me. I did not see that ending happening. And I will say that at first it really threw me off and made me kind of say, like, what the fuck just happened,
I'm actually in the polar opposite.
Yeah.
Like as soon as she had her first kind of in the woods hallucination,
yeah,
like I felt like I saw where it was going. Like,
okay, yeah,
very clearly.
I guess I could see what you're saying, and that wasn't as much of a shock as to what happened. I guess, I just didn't see an ending like that necessarily happening.
Yeah. Can we talk technique for a second here?
Yeah, of course.
I feel like we've watched a lot of films since the show started that we would say like, oh, well, it's a slow burn film. It's similar to like a Ty West film.
Yep.
I don't think this was tonally or execution-wise similar to, say, The Innkeepers, but I do feel like this might be the first thing that we've gone far enough away from that where someone literally took like that formula. Like
House of the Devil.
Well, not House of the Devil stuff happened, but like just say, for instance, The Innkeepers. Like The Innkeepers
saying, yeah.
is a movie about this thing that at 75% into it, supernatural chicanery happens to support one character's point of view. And there is a degree of ambiguity to whether or not that happened or not. So I think that...
Well, and once again, actually, I've thought about that. Now that we're sort of seeing that the film is being shown through Leah's eyes, makes me have to kind of re-examine some of the stuff that we saw.
Right. Yeah. So again, similar to, I forget the character's name in The Innkeepers, but did she wish to see something so badly that she saw something? So it's just kind of I think that I'm not talking like from a plagiarist point of view, because as a writer,
oh
myself,
no, yeah,
as a writer myself, I have fucking done it by accident. I've done it on purpose. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I do feel like, in reality, and no disrespect to this filmmaker, that this is the first one. Like, I unhappily lament a lot about the children of like The Witch, or the children of the Babadook, as I say. You know what I mean? And like that trend in filmmaking, I do feel like Ty West was maybe a far out prophet of that slow burn, like kind of more atmospheric over like stuff happening horror. But I really do feel like you could take the set pieces are different, the characters are different, but I feel like if you could take those, I forget what they're called, like those transparent cells where like, you have information on them and you usually put them on a projector. Like you could take the script of The Innkeepers and the script of this and lay them on top of each other almost, and I feel like they're very, very similar. Even when you get your first overt but not like you see the aftermath of something happening, you know what I mean? And like, so when you get that and then you wait a little while more, but now the dread is ratcheting it up because someone else saw something. We didn't see something, so I think they go very much. I think the only outlying thing might be the thing in the woods. Like that might give just a little extra that wouldn't be here, but I do think that this might be the first thing that took that sort of that used that type of script as like a lamppost, because I didn't enjoy it as much as say The Innkeepers, but it did manage to do enough to keep me interested to get to where I needed to be. And it did, much like the Innkeepers, have a hella scary couple of things happen, you know?
Yeah, there was some genuinely like pretty creep out moments, and you know, there was, and it didn't rely too much on jump scares. While there was like maybe a couple of them, that was just sort of to add to the atmosphere and the dread. I think they weren't necessarily utilized to, you know, in the building up to the end. So,
and there was some smart scares in this too. Finding that girl in the car with no context.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite parts, because that's when, I mean, and I think to what you're saying. By the way, I love the Innkeepers. I mean, I love that movie.
Me too.
When she's talking to in the mall, when she's talking to the author, and he said, when you performed this ritual, did you believe it as if you believe you're talking to me right now?
Right.
And so that's planted for all of us that, okay, this is about belief.
Right.
And then, you know, when her friend is found in the car, we don't know what happened, but she does say to Leah, well, don't touch me. So is it still part of in Leah's head, all of this, or did something actually happen?
Yeah. Or did Leah do something to her?
Right.
You know, you know what I mean? Like in the middle of the night, you know what I mean? But like not only is the suggestion of horror always in a way more scary than seeing anything, I feel like in some degree we've all been there, whether it turns into like a comedic story or something scary where we wake up and be like, where the fuck is so-and-so? Like they were here when we went to bed and now they're not here. And you know what I mean? Like that's a super relatable scene. So I thought that was pretty great.
And that goes to the Pyewacket figure, the Pyewacket figure herself.
What scale is it?
Legend scale.
1/6 scale, Legends. Finding all better toy stores all over the world.
Big Bad Toys.
BigBadToyStore.com. I really liked the way this movie was lit, because especially when it came to the Pyewacket entity, I thought very well done. You saw it reminded me a lot of The Void, not so much in terms of editing like The Void had, but in terms of lighting, where you saw just enough, but not enough to fully comprehend in your brain what it is that we're dealing with.
I would say too much. I would say I saw just enough to, like, when you first saw it and it was moving unnaturally, it was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
But then when it's kind of opened up and kind of started to move against the yard, you obviously, I mean, I felt like it was like a J horror thing. You know, like I felt like I'd seen it, like I'd seen enough to see what it was. You know what I mean? Like, and it also kind of hurt my thesis of what I thought the movie was, because we saw something. And I feel like it works a little better to like not know what, like only be able to think you know what you saw.
Well, I will disagree a little bit, because I think they did a good enough job of sort of masking it, because you never really saw what it looked like. It did leave enough to the imagination, at least for me. So on that, you know, on that whole thing, I felt that they did a good job of just giving you enough. And you know, and once again, it I think it plays up that whole thing of like, if it is through Leah's eyes, was she seeing it, you know, or was it the shadows playing tricks on her? Right. You know, like I think that's sort of lends more credence to that idea. So one of the other things I meant to bring this up earlier. Skip had mentioned that. You know, there was a cat that was in Bell Book and Candle of the name Pyewacket, but it was also originally, I mean, at least from what I can find, the first sort of like mention of this is it was one of the familiar spirits of a witch detected by the Witchfinder General Matthew Hopkins in March 1644 in the town of Essex in Essex, England. So apparently Hopkins claimed he spied on the witches as they held their meeting close by his house and heard them mention the name Pyewacket. So apparently that might be the first sort of mention of it.
He was a nice fellow.
Knowing that, I
General.
wonder if the name Pyewacket was ever mentioned in the movie.
In the movie, yeah.
Witchfinder General.
I know.
I'm gonna have to watch that now again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to go back. I've actually never seen it, so
you gotta check it
Yeah,
out, man.
I know.
Vincent Price, classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a weird one too because where it is, it's not tonally like some of the other stuff that he was doing at the time.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
Yeah. He as I recall, like that, I could be thinking of something else, but him and the director had to reel him in a lot in that film.
I don't want to get into the conversation that could potentially degenerate into MZ, but I wanted to ask: how did you feel about the name of this movie, the title of the movie?
You asking me?
Yes, because I know you've had problems.
Oh, I
with
had no. Well, I'll tell you, I used to follow witchcraft, and I did for a couple of years.
There he goes. I'm gonna get him.
And I did. And,
He's over in the corner.
Oh, God. And but I only followed, the white arts. I never
On Twitter.
followed the black arts. But I have no problem with it.
That's
really.
racist.
I'm just saying that because obviously what movie was it that you had an issue with the title of? Was it Happy Death Day? Was that the one?
Yeah.
There was that one, and there was
Carnage Park.
No. It was
there was something.
that was way long
There was
ago.
something recently
Yeah.
where like the.
Yeah, there's another one recently. I
No,
think.
Happy Death Day. That title pisses me off.
I know. I remember. That was the one where your million film thesis happened.
Oh, was it Diverge? Did you have an issue with that one?
No, that was Raven Shadow. He had a problem with it.
Oh, okay, that's right. So yeah, but you did kind of throw a little bit of fit for Happy Death Day. So I just wanted to make sure you were okay with the title of this movie.
No, I was fine with it.
All right, because you don't know what it's about. Like unless you know the reference, which is pretty obscure.
The failed writer and failed marketer in me just feels like that's like naming your film or something that's not easily pronounced is not always
Yeah,
good.
and I
It's
think
like death metal T-shirts.
I mean, I personally I have no problem with it, but I mean, the average moviegoer or even a diehard horror fan who really doesn't follow the witchcraft and the occult would probably have no idea what this is about, and just might be turned off by the title entirely. But after watching this movie, I would say don't do that. I did like it.
Don't do that.
As a
Don't fucking do it.
As a follower of witchcraft, I say don't do that. Witchcraft has gone down that alley. Don't go that way.
First time Mike says Witchfinder General is not a campy watch. It is a disturbing, almost underrated, understated vision of sanctioned cruelty and man-made horror.
That's right.
No, it's the granddaddy of folk horror films.
Yep.
It's Are you sure when you followed witchcraft, it wasn't like just like a ceramics class that you?
I'm quite sure.
It was like witchcraft.
I'm quite sure. Thank you. As a matter of fact, I don't know if Brian Paulin ever showed either of you guys this, but he has a book, and he showed it to me. He has this book from like the early 19th century.
It's about a stuffed tiger and a boy
on witchcraft. He's got this actual book from the early 19th century on witchcraft. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to check it out. It's pretty freaky. Pretty freaky
by the
stuff.
mages Calvin and Hobbes.
What are you doing, Ollie?
I know.
Jesus, leave the poor dog alone.
No, he hates your review.
Oh yeah, that must be what it is.
Your review is kind of like the equivalent of like that like the dog whistle. Yeah, he's all pissed.
Does he want to go
No,
for?
you're a good guy.
Does he want to go out for a smoke?
No, he smokes indoors.
All right. Is there anything that hasn't been mentioned that anyone wants to bring up before we head to the verdict on this one?
Sound design.
Sound design. Oh yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
I love the sound design. I mean, if anything that really ratcheted up the dread,
Yes.
it was perfect sound design.
And a good score too, I might add.
Yeah.
Yeah, very understated and subtle, but very effective. I will definitely agree with that. And I actually thought the editing was really well done as well. I guess when editing is done well, you don't notice necessarily. But I think in this case, there was a couple of just really moments where I was like, oh, that was good editing, and I typically don't really pick that out in every film. So yeah, so I think technically this film was well executed with the sound, music, editing, the way it was shot. There's a lot of great things going on with this one. So all right, well, let's head to a verdict, and we'll let you guys know what we think.
Trick or treat, baby.
I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is verdict time. We're going to let you know whether Pyewacket was a trick or a treat, and any final thoughts we may have. Let's start with Mars.
Treat.
All right.
So it was this close to getting on my fucking nerves. I'll say that.
Pyewacket got on my nerves.
It was ridiculing me, calling me a bum. Yeah, no, I do feel like, and I don't like. It's just one of those instances where, of no fault of Pyewacket, like I want a little less slow burn and a little more the void in my diet, or even the void, and to a much better degree. It was my favorite movie of that year, and I'm forgetting the title. The Kate Eversole movie. Baskin showed that you can be deliberate and atmospheric, but still have horror happen throughout your horror movie. And I just feel like I understand that a lot of these are getting made because they are budgetly sound, and you can make a great piece of art with not, as much money. But as someone whose band is named the Deadites, I'm sort of at the point where I'd like a little more chainsaws and dudes getting hit with shovels. So,
yeah.
But it was a treat.
All right, MZ.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun to watch. Good scares, really good score. Sound design was really good. I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot all about it, to be perfectly honest with you. Decent performances all throughout. Laurie Halden looks great. And I enjoyed this. This was an interesting, fun film, and yeah, I recommend this. This is a treat.
All right, how about you, Skip?
Yeah, totally same thing. I enjoyed it, and right, it was fun. I mean, actually, at the end of it, I was smiling, so I had fun, in spite of the fact that it was like the Christian lens, looking at the pagans.
Yep.
And even starting off with that, it's losing in my camp, but I came away smiling and happy at the end, so I liked it.
All right, Raven Shadow.
Yeah, I really liked when the kind of supernatural elements were kind of happening. I was really into that. My initial reaction to the ending was kind of annoyed, but the more and more I thought about it, and once again, especially the dialogue from the author, kind of stuck with me.
Yep.
And maybe especially after just seeing the film we watched last week, Veronica. So it was, right, Veronica last week?
Yes.
Yeah. But still, I'm still a mark for some kind of demon possession or haunting. I just like that shit. I would have liked to see more. And like I said, the author's comment and the friend scene is what kind of made me think about this more. But overall, I did like it. Treat.
All right, and for me, it was also a treat, and I always kind of like when this happens. I think I like this movie more after we talked about it. Like I liked it after watching it. Like immediately when it ended, the ending threw me for a loop because I didn't see it coming, and the way it ended was was a little jarring, I guess. So that kind of made me, had to kind of like go back through my head and think about how I felt about other things that happened. And, and now when we're talking about it, seeing that this is sort of like, I'm convinced that it is through the eyes of Leah, the daughter. And, that definitely makes a lot of other things sort of come to light. It makes me feel a little bit different about it. But for a movie where very little happens, as Mars had said, it was definitely kind of one of those slow burn movies. I definitely was engaged throughout, and I think that was really due to the strength of the characters and the technical proficiency that was on display. And, I think that, I don't think we necessarily mentioned, but I think the performance by Nicole Munoz, who played Leah, was quite good. Like, I liked her portrayal of a troubled teen, kind of going through, navigating the murky waters of a single parent with not having a great relationship. So
she was likable and unlikable at the same time, which I think was important.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because when you do what she did, like, it's kind of hard to root for her, but you can also in a way relate. You may not have, as a child, you may not have said, I want my parents to die, but you at some point you probably have said, I hate you, or I wish you'd go away, or something along those lines. And
well, I think it's fair to say that as the closer you are with somebody, whether it be a parent-child relationship, friend, or lover, concubine, whatever the fuck,
concubine.
The closer you are to somebody, you know the trigger words, what those words that can hurt them. And just take it back, like, for most of us that were metalheads, these weren't the metalheads that I grew up with. I knew a kid that used to fight trees and drink motor oil for real. And that was what he did. That was Aaron. That was he called that on Friday. He fucking, and you know what I mean? He didn't have fucking patches. He fought trees and drank motor oil. But he's doing very well now. But I also, there was a particular line I liked, just to go back to it one more time. When you summon the spirit, it does its job, but then it comes for you, which I kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there was definitely...
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, there's more I'd like to talk about, but I want to sort of avoid too much. But yeah, but I think that this was... In hindsight, our conversation made me like this film more. Even though I enjoyed it when it ended, I think the conversation that it spawned really kind of made me enjoy this one a little bit more. So, so I always love that. And Rave Shadow was a pretty good point on your part right there, talking about the, about the relationships, relationship between the mom and the daughter, and yeah.
It was a great point, partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the flip side, it's still not fucking snowing in your house. So.
It's not fucking snowing? Are you serious?
No. Not as when I went downstairs to do a party.
To do a party.
Fuck God.
Fuck God. Here it is. Yeah.
Dynamo rocks the body that rocks the party.
Lottie-dottie, I rock the party. So let's get those voicemails and go home before it changes its mind.
Yeah, I know. Before it decides to dump like a whole fucking foot on us.
I gotta get home.
All right, so we're gonna head to a break in just a moment, and then we're gonna come back and we'll wrap everything up in a nice little bow, and we'll be back in how long, MZ?
In 2 and 2.
All right, we'll be right back.
The following message is a paid advertisement for the Cult of Muscle podcast. The Cult of Muscle. You're either in it or you're dead.
It's the dawning of a new age. The halls of Valhalla have been shuttered. The heroes of yore have either retreated to the shadows or taken to capering for the amusement of the small folk. Their past glories a distant memory. The barbells have been torn from their once puma-strong grips. The beards shorn from their square jaws, only to be transplanted onto flannel-clad, puny weaklings with fingers barely powerful enough to strum a ukulele. The time has come, my brothers, to restore order from the chaos. No longer will our heroes be forgotten. No longer will their great deeds be viewed through a foggy lens of irony. Hear now our rallying cry as we scream it from the mountaintops, as we bellow it from iTunes and Libsyn and Facebook. It's time to join the cult, my brothers. So don your cloaks and enter the cult of muscle.
I'm Alex West.
And I'm Andrea Subasati, and we're from the Faculty of Horror podcast.
And you're listening to Trick or Treat Radio.
You go through your week with the same old routine.
What you really want is some blood and thunder in your life.
Well, friend, you found it.
The Cromcast is an adventurous journey through the history of two-fisted pulp stories.
With your hosts John,
Josh,
and Luke.
We have action,
horror,
and adventure, all through the lens of pulp luminary Robert E. Howard.
Don't just stay in your ordinary life.
Find your pulp life at thecromcast.blogspot.com.
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
A podcast for the barbarian at heart.
Hey there, this is R.A. Salvatore, call me Bob, and you're listening to Trick or Treat Radio.
All right, we're back at Trick or Treat Radio.
Good song choice.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. Sorry. 80s, the Deadites' 80s ode to demonic possession.
Exactly, and I played double damage earlier. I figured that was appropriate.
I feel like this song is going to end up being another aquaphobic where people are going to tell me like, oh, I use this as like my wedding song. And I'm just like,
do you know what the lyrics are about?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, she loves me, but
it's about who's in love with who again?
So a demon possesses a man, falls in love with his wife. She is trying to exorcise the demon to get his husband back, but he doesn't want to go because he loves her. So. And I stole many 80s lyrical cues for it. But.
So just to catch up on the chat room, First Time Mike says a lot of times magic has a price you pay in many forms of media.
It's true. I got $60 once for a millstone.
Cecil says exactly. You summon a Stormy Daniels, you better batten down the hatches.
It's true. You know what? I that's not normally my, type of lady, but she's actually very attractive as she's getting more beautiful as she gets older. Like,
yes.
I hope that, but
I agree.
Somebody literally said to me, "I hope that's not the reason he gets in trouble." I don't fucking care. It's like getting Capone on tax evasion. Like,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing that not a lot of people that I've heard, and it might be more TV news, is that adultery is illegal in New York. So if he's breaking the law.
Adultery is illegal in New York?
Yeah. Wow. He's breaking the law.
Leanna says, "Hey Bob," and I think she's referring to the R.A. Salvatore little station ID that we had there. If you haven't heard that episode, Leanna, you should go back. I know you're a fan of R.A. Salvatore. I believe it was episode 54. I'll double check that though. First Time Mike says, "What the hell? No Ms. M calling me a delicious nerd."
Sorry.
I think I played that. Did I play that one earlier? I forget.
I'm not sure.
I might have missed it. I don't know.
Come to the show, buy her whiskey. She'll call you whatever you want. She told me I was an asshole just the other day.
And Cecil says this song's from an unreleased Clive Barker movie.
Is it?
Hey, we'll take it.
This isn't one of the. Cecil, you're waiting on Doc Quiddity, which is our William Gibson and Clive Barker.
Yes.
Influence song. Normally, I'm just singing about fucking, so that's like the most. That's really just it.
All right, I was going to mention the movie that we might be reviewing next week, but I might have to do a little bit of research because it was supposed to come out on Friday the 23rd, but I'm seeing conflicting reports. So let me just see. I don't want to name a movie that we're not going to be able to watch because it's not out. But let me just double check on that while I play some voicemails and stuff. Cecil says that sounds great. I'm down. So yeah, all right. So let's get into some voicemails. So the question we asked was, what are your favorite occult horror movies? Because I figured it was appropriate after watching Pyewacket. So we'll see if I think Leanna had some, and I think FTM for some Mike also. So let's go to Leanna first. Let's hear what Leanna has to say.
Hi guys! You haven't heard from me in a voicemail in a long time, but I'm here now.
It's good to hear you.
I'm here because tonight's question really spoke to me, I guess. Occult horror films are pretty broad in subject because of the general themes in horror itself. Like, I guess it depends on what you define as the occult. Like, would you include a movie where the plot involves the usage of a Ouija board for an occult horror film? Would you include cults? Would you include demon possession? Like, so would The Exorcist count? Would Rosemary's Baby count? But the two occult horror films that I find myself liking the most right now, like in this current time, are very recent. That would be The Witch and The Love Witch. Similar titles, but very, very different movies. If I had to pick one, I would have to say The Witch, because it's a brilliantly made movie. Brilliant performances, the amount of research put into every line, every dialect, every bit of the setting, even the folklore is just pure perfection in terms of what actual Puritans believed in. And it's terrifying to watch. And I find it terrifying in the same way that I find a lot of, say, Stephen King stuff terrifying, in that I find the real horror from the people rather than the supernatural events. It's more how these people react to these events that horrifies you than the actual events themselves. The Love Witch, on the other hand, is very much a callback to various exploitation films, but both lovingly and critically rendered. I love that movie perfectly encapsulates filmmaking of the era, like everything from the acting to the cinematography to the actual resolution you get it in to the plot. It's really great. I can only think of Scream as like a perfect match for it in terms of what kind of parody or satire of the horror genre it can be. So those are my two films. I'm sure a bunch of people are probably going to mention The Wicker Man and The Devil Rides Out, but those are mine. So thanks for listening, guys.
All right, Leanna. Great choices. I have not seen Love Witch yet. I know we almost reviewed that last year, but it didn't end up happening. But obviously, we've seen The Witch as well.
Hey, Wolfie.
Yo.
Do you like? This is gonna sound absurd, but somebody asked me this just today as I was scanning through our films. Did I like The Witch?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. I know I don't.
I think you did.
I know I didn't want to watch it.
I think you didn't love it.
Maybe. I wonder if it's just a matter, almost similar to this. I wonder if it's a victim of, like, I'm at the point now where I want a fucking real CGI
Jesus
witch.
Christ, Raven Shadow. I'm muting Raven Shadow for now.
Yeah, does the chat not have a mute? Like that he can hit?
I don't know. He probably doesn't know how to use it.
Because literally,
are you muting me?
Yeah.
Well, Oliver was Well, Oliver is barking. I was.
Oh yeah, that's fair. He's upstairs.
Literally, Raven Shadow. Like the whole time I'm on, when I'm not like in the studio, like it is muted. Like unless I'm speaking, and sometimes, like during late Five Hossman recordings, sometimes I speak for a long time without unmuting it. So find that mute button. It's your friend. You can do any old crazy shit you want.
My phone's blinking like it's weird. Like I don't know what's going on.
My phone's blinking, Wolfie. What does that mean?
Probably have a message.
No. From a friend.
So those are some good choices there, and I still am curious to see the Love Witch. So, Skip, have you seen the Love Witch? By
I
chance?
have not.
Okay,
although I've really wanted to.
Yeah,
Love Witch.
Maybe I'll have a viewing one of these days. I know that stares me in the face every time I log in. So
yeah,
I have a new old television that is in the upstairs room now. It's nice to watch TV up there. I would be in Raven Shadow watch fucking in friend of the show. Musician and creator of the Astro Sasquatch animation, Sean Fennell. We watched Devil's Express, which was the best worst movie I've seen in a long time.
That was a good night, right?
Yeah,
it was nice.
Good night. It was nice.
And listen, I know there's a lot of struggles ahead, but I got to say that your special lady friend looked amazing. It was great to see her there. I wasn't sure.
So she lives there.
Well, yeah, I know, but I thought she wasn't going to be there.
She keeps a lot of her stuff.
Fuck
there.
was she doing? Yeah. But no, it was very nice to see her. It was very nice, and it was
normally
a good night.
She does leave when we're gonna do something of that ilk. So, but now role playing happens there sometimes. So like she has to pick her battles, like watch a shitty movie or hang around while people are complaining about savings throws. So.
Who's the Beastmaster?
Who's the Beast and who's the Beastmaster?
Kodo and Podo.
Mm-hmm.
We have some people repping for Love Witch in the chat room. Obviously, Creepy Girl was upset that we didn't that we didn't review it, and Cecil says Love Witch equals greatness.
Wow, greatness.
So, all right. Well, let's head to. By the way, I think the movie we were gonna do next week. It looks like it got. I think it's maybe getting a theatrical release before. So, I think it's going the It Follows route. So, I think we will hold off if for some reason it does become available on VOD. Before it hits theaters, which I don't think is likely. We will call an audible and do that one, but I'm not going to mention it until we officially do it. So in that case, Dynamo, you know what that means is on deck next would be Mickey Keating's Psychopaths.
I get to talk about how much I like his television show.
So we're going to check out Psychopaths for that is available on VOD. It's been out since January, so it's been out for a while. We've been trying to fit it in there, and we're going to go ahead and do Psychopaths next week. It's got an ensemble cast with our boy Larry Fessenden. I don't think we've done a film that features Larry this year yet. So
fucking possible.
I know.
I know.
He was in Pyewacket somewhere, I'm sure.
I would be more inclined to believe we did a film that he was in as two different parts than that we never done one at all.
There was what was it? I saw a trailer recently with him in it. I don't remember. But I think it's something that we're gonna do soon.
Boldly displayed in it. I remember seeing it too.
Yeah. So we'll do Psychopaths, and then if for some reason this movie does hit VOD ahead of theaters, then we'll make the change. But so I think we'll be doing Psychopaths though next week. So looking forward to that. All right, let's go to another voicemail. This is from First Time Mike.
What's up, Trick or Treat family? This is First Time Mike. Wow, guys. Hope you guys are okay after all that snow you're getting. I feel for you. I really do. About the occult horror movies today. Your friend like First Time Mike wants to talk about La Chiesa, also known as The Church. Yes. Michelle Suave's 1989 film that originally was supposed to be one of the Demons movies, but it became its own little exploration into gothic horror and madness. That's not saying there's not some blood in The Church. It has some truly grotesque set pieces and some really disturbing imagery. But when it comes to the occult horror one, there's a lot of talk about the secret ideas of why the Christians built cathedrals. They mentioned Falconelli, who was supposedly an alchemist who believed that in things like sacred geometry or sacred architecture, which is basically building a structure for some occult or other purposes, sometimes to gain mystical power, sometimes to bind stuff in, sometimes to explore the secrets of the universe. Also, there's several scenes in there that mention one of the things, not giving it away, that a true Gothic cathedral was made with like one exit or entrance point, so it could be sealed if it had to be. And other ones, there's a scene also talking about which I'm not going to give. I don't want to give away any spoilers because it's been since '89, but the church, you should really see it. It's a good movie. But there's a scene in there where somebody uses the phrase, what you call superstition is just sometimes science you can't understand. And there was a lot of that in the early church, and the church in some of its subplots explore this, and it's the main reason why the church is built in the same place, and instead of helping people out, it traps them within. Check out The Church. It's a good movie. You'll see a lot of classic Christian artwork and a lot of mention in the dialogue about the different theories of why they built the cathedral and secret sciences, and the way they close the door itself is really fun. Some other occult movies that, if they're mentioned, I also support The Devil Rides Out, the classic Hammer film with Christopher Lee as the Duke de Richelieu, based off the Dennis Wheatley books. Very good.
Great
another
score,
occult
too.
one that I also enjoyed was Hacks and Witchcraft Throughout the Ages, the classic film. It's kind of weird, but it's a fun movie. It's on Amazon Prime right now. And also another occult movie that I personally enjoyed, despite my feelings about the person that made it. The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp is actually a pretty good movie as well, about Lucifer, satanic books, secret messages hidden in books like the ancient alchemical texts and grimoires of old. It's a fun movie. Like I said, despite my feelings about Polanski, that's for a different time. Also, I'd like to say that last week when I mentioned The New Gladiators is on Amazon Prime if you have it, so check it out. I have not checked it out since it's in the DVD, and it's probably going to be the DVD version of it. But The New Gladiators, which I mentioned last week, is on Amazon Prime, so check it out. A fun, Fulci sci-fi movie. This is First Time Mike. Hoping you guys don't get any more with snow, because I feel for you, really. Saying good night. Bye.
Thanks, First Time Mike. Great voicemail, man. Some good picks there. And MZ, I remember one of our early shows. I don't know if it was the first time you did the torture pick of the week back when we used to do that, but I remember you picked Haxon.
Yeah.
As one of the very first ones, and I saw Skip had sort of nodded when First Time Mike had mentioned Haxon.
Yeah, Haxon's great.
It is.
Yeah.
The technology back then. I mean, when people were just playing with it, but when you have the huge devil and the small people and everyone's running around naked, I mean, it's just
Benjamin Christensen. He was the director, and he had an interesting style with this film because he went from using pointers, sticks to point out certain things, because they were using like miniatures and like pull tab here and things will move and things like that, and then move suddenly to live action.
Yeah.
Very interesting movie. It was taken very, very, very seriously back in the day. Now, not so much, but it's looked upon as more interesting than anything, not to be taken really too seriously. But it's an interesting look at what witchcraft was viewed as back in, I think the movie came out in 1920. So,
yeah, I think it was 22 maybe.
Yeah, it's an interesting flick.
22,
I strongly suggest you check it out. And it's available on Criterion DVD.
It is.
Nice. All right, so we got 2 more voicemails, and I don't believe either of these deal with the topic at hand. So if before right when we say our goodbyes, if you guys want to think of some for you, we'll go through and discuss a few more. But let's go to Evil Corny.
Hey guys, this is Evil Corny, and I have 3 questions for you all. First off, for MZ, I'd like to know who his favorite robot was in sitcoms. One of my personal favorites was Screech's robot Kevin in Saved by the Bell, and also Vicky that was in Small Wonder.
Right.
Okay. Next question is for Mars. Given that the Avengers Infinity War comes out on April 27th, how soon do you think Raven Shadow will probably go and see that film? Will it be a couple months down the line, or do you think he won't even make it to the theater and see it? Okay, my third question is for Johnny Wolfenstein, and that is, Wolfie, do you think you'll ever let Raven Shadow call in for an episode of Trick or Treat Radio again? I'm just curious. You all have a good week. Evil Cordy out.
Touch and go, Corny.
I didn't realize you could hear him, Raven Chow. You could hear him?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, my answer, fuck no. No, I mean, if you got it, you got it, you know. But Raven Shadow's not snowing right now. Just saying.
It's unfucking believable. I'm so upset.
Well, the funny thing about this storm was, okay, so I worked from home today as well as a couple other people from work because everyone was kind of like batting down the hatches waiting for another fucking nor'easter. And then it was like supposed to start at 10 a.m. And then it's supposed to start at 11 a.m. And then it's supposed to start at 2 p.m. And then 4 and then 6 and then 7. And then we started doing the show and apparently it's still not snowing. So yeah, I don't fucking know. We're supposed to get like over a foot. Like as of yesterday, they were saying we're getting like a foot of snow. So who the fuck knows? But
oh yeah, I was getting calls from fucking National Grid, like they were fucking a crazy ex-girlfriend telling me they got fucking thousands of troops ready to fucking ddeploy, and I got my fucking trash guy telling me they're not coming till like next Wednesday, whatever the fuck. I want to block all these motherfuckers.
Well, it's the old fucking hysteria standby, like, you know.
Nice Def Leppard callback.
Nice. You get whipped.
And
you get whipped into a fucking, a tizzy, but all you got to do is look out your window.
Oh, totally. And once again, we're New Englanders, go Brady, 2004 Red Sox, whatever the fuck. But
they did win 2 more championships after that,
There's so many more championships. It's unbelievable.
Can we go?
But no, I have some things tomorrow that I need to kind of like just make sure, and it pisses me off that I could be in there with you guys and give everyone a hug and a smooch.
Can you please play the next voicemail?
Oh man,
every minute.
Robo Urkel.
Considering I've already considering I may or may not have checked to see if I am working on the day Infinity War comes out, and I am. I know he won't see it on opening night because he won't go to the movies alone.
He's already got anxiety.
Yeah, so.
I do have anxiety.
And
I saw Black Panther.
Well, we'll have to say that for next week.
I believe the answer to Wolfie's question is no fucking way. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Next voicemail.
All right, so last voicemail. This is from our boy Dane Under. All
right. What's up, Trick or Treat Radio? How you going? So another voicemail, and I forgot to mention last time because of that voicemail I did in the city after I watched the movie that these voicemails are about my trip down Sydney to Monster Fest, which is a travelling horror film fest. I had some work on the weekend, so I was only able to go to one day. I was going to see 4 movies, but so that's a big day, you know. Travel was 2.5 hours travel down and back. The first movie, I didn't really like the trailer, so I went and seen 3. I met a dude out the front. I sold him my spare ticket for cheap price, and I was all happy, you know. But this was a lot of fun. I got to see 3 great movies. You know, I was pretty lucky there. Yeah, so the first one was Housewife, and today I'm going to talk about the last one I seen, which was a mystery movie, but just looking at the clues involved, I was pretty sure that it was going to be bore. I think it's the second time it's been seen. So,
waiting for that one.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this one. Having been, you know, a little Aussie kid going to the video store, getting Razorback out now and then. This is a completely different movie and structure to Razorback. They just share in common that they have a wild pig, a giant feral pig, you know. I'd say this is a really great, enjoyable movie. I've got a few minor problems with it, which I'll get into. It's very funny, you know. It's got a real ochre, sort of unique Australian humour, sort of redneck bogan humour. Lots of swearing, you know, and people getting drunk all the time. There's sort of country people way out living, what we say, living way out in whoop whoop. And you know, you got a real big cast of famous Australian actors that pop up here and there, like character actors, that sort of thing. A couple of guys that were in the original Mad Max. You know, you got John Jarratt, Ernie Dingo, who was in, I think he was in Crocodile Dundee too. Some good young actors. There's an American guy in it. I can't remember his name, but he was out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. So
Bill Moseley, yeah.
The humour really worked well. That was a good thing about it. And you know, you got all these different characters, you know, from likable to unlikable, but sometimes the unlikable guy stands up and does something good. So, you know, it wasn't real two-dimensional characters. I enjoyed that. A few spots where I thought the acting was a bit over the top. Some little minor quibbles where the actors were, the characters were doing stupid things like, you know, if you see a giant pig, you should shit yourself. You know, like they wasn't scared enough, I thought. But that's just minor quibbles in what was a really enjoyable movie with great sound effects and music, and cinematography was pretty good too. One thing, the way they build up the horror sort of reminded me a little bit of American Werewolf in London. And then lo and behold, there was a line out of American Werewolf in London in the movie. One cool thing was I went on the Facebook page, and the creator, writer, and director of the movie was on there, and I was able to tell him thanks for making a great Aussie film that the fans could be proud of, and you know, he liked my message, so he's seen that. So that's pretty cool in this day and age. You can do that. And what happened? What was pretty cool as well was after the movie, they said this was actually a test screening. So distributor wants to know your thoughts, so we sat. If you could sit down for 10 minutes, so sat down and filled out some information about the movie, gave a bit of feedback. Nathan Jones, who was Rectus Erictus in
Yes.
Mad Max Fury Road, that big muscle-bound dude. He
Former wrestler.
he stole the movie for me. Very funny, great acting, intimidating. He's somewhat of a hero in the movie. I think he'll be headed to Hollywood for sure after this movie. And one more thing is, I think that you see a little bit too much of the pig, the boar. That they should have cut away a bit faster. And that CGI was actually used well. I thought it was sort of from a distance. It was, the camera was moving around a bit. It was hit. The CGI was hidden a bit. With the practical effects, what came to mind was what the guys from Astron 6 were saying in your review when you spoke to them about the Void, how they would just use small little cuts which looked cool, and then the other times it looked like a big rubber sort of contraption. Okay guys, I got to go to work, and thanks for everything you do with the show. See ya.
Love you, dude.
Awesome, Dane. Thanks, man. And I'm curious to check out Boar. So, Dane, if it sucks, we're gonna blame it on you for that test screening. No, that's pretty cool. Glad you got to check that out and give your feedback on it.
It's a great festival too.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome that Dane got to see some films. I can't wait for Housewife. That's one of my most anticipated flicks. So
I'm almost afraid of it, like that.
It had a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
From what he said, he said it was one of his favorite horror films ever. So
He's gonna go to the fucking Void, Steven Skadansky way, or however you say his name. He's just doing a fucking leprechaun. He's like, fuck it.
So, well, that is it for voicemail. I guess what we'll do is we'll start going around the room, and everyone can talk about some of their favorite. Don't have to limit it to just one, but some of our favorite occult horror films, and there's certainly no shortage of them to choose. But let's start things off with Skip. So, Skip, first of all, I want to thank you for coming in. It was awesome having you in here and having your insight and just hearing about your work, and also just kind of. There's a lot of personal stuff in your work, and obviously if you're comfortable putting it out there in your art, obviously you're comfortable talking about it. But there's been some shitty things that have happened, and like it's good that you can sort of hopefully get them out in your art, and hopefully that has sort of helped in sort of overcoming it and trying to actually be a human with some of the stuff that happened.
Well, that in therapy.
Yes. Well, hey, if if this helps, you can come back. But no, it was a pleasure having you on.
Thanks for having me. This was a blast.
Yeah, of course, and we can't wait to see Seeds. Right? Is that the
Seeds? Yep.
Yep. Can't wait to see Seeds. So hopefully we'll hear about some screenings up in the coming months, and we'll let you guys know about that. And I'm sure we'll be chatting with Skip again sometime soon. So thanks again, Skip.
And we'll see him
Darkness for Light
next Friday.
Yeah,
a week from the day this drops.
Yeah.
Cove Music Hall, Darkness for Light, The Deadites, The Evil Streaks Belate, Roger LaValle, and the debut of Birds and Bombs. And
by the way, I listened to Birds and Bombs today. I saw that Jess had posted a few songs. It was real good.
Yeah. She's gonna voice that is fucking phenomenal in my opinion. So
yeah, really good.
It's gonna be a great night. There's gonna be a sports raffle. There's gonna be some trivia. There's gonna be
sports.
Some sports. There's gonna be some great artwork auctioned off and some other stuff. So.
I know you haven't really talked a lot about this. Real quick before we start to wrap up, what about the fucking compilation?
Oh, it's true. Yeah, this will be the CD digital launch of Black Cat Anthems for Redheaded January Girls. And it features a fucking shit. Let's put it this way. I'm going to sell a few physical CDs on that night. It's going to be a double CD. And it features heavy metal and pop and hip-hop and some country and lots of great electronic music. The Deadites, Telelectrics, Teal. All sorts of stuff.
It's a veritable smorgasbord of fucking great music.
Yep, Eurydice. Is that how you say it? Eurydice?
No.
She taught us and we blew
yes.
it.
You're a DC. You're a
DC.
DC.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Giovanni Lombardi, you're a DC.
I can't say her husband's band name properly either, but River Navarra. They're on there. Swarm of Eyes, some metal from those guys. Sammy James, Thinner. I'm honored to have Thinner on there, one of my favorite bands of all time. But for Deadites fans and Trick or Treat Radio fans, it will be the song that we have been asked to put out since we started playing it live and playing it as a transition in that. And Double Damage will be featured on the.
Will it be ready, Mars?
I think right now it's ready 3 times.
Okay.
Tiny
White.
You
never know with the Deadites.
To show you how crazy Tiny White is, he paid 2 different people to produce this, and then produced it himself too.
What was the name of the comp again?
Redheaded. Shit, I fucked it up myself. Black Cat Anthem for Redheaded.
That's a different show.
Yeah.
Black Cat Anthems?
Cat Anthems for Redheaded January Girls.
Ah, okay, there you go.
Me and Myra they charged us to name it, and we made a list of things that reminded us of KMC, and I was just hung up on anthems. I just liked it as an absolute, and you know, in typical her being a fucking evil, small anime genius, said just blurted that out, and I was like, that's it. That's what it is.
Nice.
And I will say, for all this hard work to pay off in another way, if it doesn't raise a dime and nobody ever listens to it, without hearing a single song, when this was again supposed to be a surprise, but KMC came across the press release, and when she heard saw the name, she cried. So, mission accomplished. I'm good at making girls cry.
Yeah, typically it's for different reasons.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be great. I mean,
so people will be able to buy the comp digitally on the day of the show,
right? And they will also, if you are
there,
a
week from Friday, March 30th,
right,
it'll be available.
And we will at very least have download card available on that night, and probably, if I can make that happen, burn some CDs.
And Mars, is it also one of those deals? Pay what you want, basically. It's at least $7 or something like that. I think
it's gonna be.
Well, it's a double, so it's
I think
more.
it's gonna be $12 because there's literally we have 18 bands right now, and I'm still waiting for 7 or so tracks. So.
All right, so at least $12. You guys, it's probably gonna be the Bandcamp thing, Mars.
Yep, it will be Bandcamp.
Yeah. So you guys can pay as much as you want. If you are bummed out that you're not gonna be at the Darkness for Light, the benefits show, and you want to be there, you like to help out and support, then go ahead, buy the digital download and pay whatever you want. You can pay upwards of $1 million.
Right.
If you got it hanging around, why not, right?
Sure.
And it'll go to a good cause and help pay for all the medical, the growing, not just medical, a lot of other unfortunate bills.
Kim lost both her parents in about 18 months.
Yeah.
And, they had for Kim to just keep her house is a struggle, because, her dad had a military pension and a pension from Budweiser and all these other things that are just gone now.
Yeah.
That would pay to heat a big giant, well, it's not the biggest house, but to heat a big house, an old house rather, and to, these things. So, it's a hard task. And
she is going through cancer treatment and,
right.
and
it's
other
reignited her
stuff.
epilepsy, which is the thing. If you asked her, she would take homelessness and cancer and anything else if she never had a seizure again. So,
yeah. So a lot of real sad stuff going on, and this would really, brighten up her, not just her day, but probably her year. So,
right. And I would say with the, if you guys don't know her, like you know us, of course, you don't know her at all, but I will say it's a pretty safe bet that she has helped in some way or supported and just been a friendly listening voice to, with the exception of Skip, of course, everyone on this show.
Yep.
So
yeah, absolutely. And I think everyone that meets Kim immediately falls in love with her. So if any of you guys can help, and you know what, even if you don't know Kim and you don't have much to spare, $12 will get you the download, and there's some fucking great stuff on there. So keep an eye out for that, guys, and help out as much as you can. So let's go back to Skip real quick. And Skip, if you would, do you have any occult movies that came to mind of don't have to necessarily be your favorite, but some ones you'd like to talk about real quick?
Well, one of the voicemails mentioned The Wicker Man, and
yeah,
that's by far my favorite. I watch it every May Day with my wife.
Nice.
And we're always laughing when he's up there burning. But I would also throw out Suspiria as well. I think that's for an occult movie. And I thought of it after the guy called in and mentioned the church. I said, oh yeah.
Yep.
We've got Suspiria as well. So those two are tops of my list.
Yeah, Suspiria was going to be one of the ones that I mentioned. There's so many out there that I'll probably choose some others. But yeah, it's such an impactful movie for me. Actually, I think MZ and I bonded on about Suspiria because that was the name of I was in a band with his brother, and the name of the band was Suspiria. So that's going way back. That's lifting the curtain back on like 27 years ago.
At least, yeah.
So, all right, MZ, how about you? Some favorite occult horror?
Well, a lot of them were already mentioned, of course.
Yeah.
Wicker Man and Hacks and Devil Rides Out, of course. I'd also like to mention the Templar series.
The Blind Dead.
The Blind Dead, yep. Which I think would be very fitting, as well as and Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yes. Holy shit.
That's a good call.
Remember the blood feud that happened when I put that on my my best horror list of that thing?
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, that movie's a fucking giallo. I don't care what
It
anybody
is a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
All right, MZ, why don't you say goodbye, folks?
Arrivederci, douchebags.
All right, the Raven Shadow, how about you? Some occult horror.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
Big
if
Trouble in
it's horror.
China.
That's a cult, right?
It's not horror, and it's not Big Trouble in Little China. What'd you say?
Fire Woman.
Yeah. The cult, like the band cult? You're to blame. A little film, The Burbs. Fucking Klopek's like a motherfucker.
Yeah, that's a good
right?
one. Yep.
Remember we saw that fucking dude in Devil's Express?
The dude was he was fucking Klopek, right?
Yeah, that was that guy.
It was the same dude. Like, do like an IMDb search or whatever the fuck that is.
I am a DB?
Yeah. That's the new. Yeah, so Burbs. The Burbs.
The Burbs.
The Burbs. The Burbs. But no, I'm so fucking pissed off I'm not in studio because this fucking barista fucking came in and did nothing. I'll repeat that joke because maybe I was in the Campbell soup can earlier. But perfect. But no, Skip, I'm sorry I couldn't meet you, dude. You are a fascinating cat, and you got balls of steel, and I can't wait to share a stage with you on the 30th. This super dope event. Yeah, man, it'll be great. It'll be great. So I guess we're done. So live fast, love hard, die with your mask on.
All right, Marsman.
The Church for sure. Like that's a great pull, but probably one of my top 3 contemporary favorite films, the one that gets mentioned the least after Drive and The Raid, would be House of the Devil.
Yeah.
Man, all mine again. Taken. Yeah, I fucking love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah. So House of the Devil is a great one. All right, Mars, say goodbye.
Remember, children, wherever you go, there you are.
All right, since most of mine were taken, I'm going to go in a different way. And one of the ones I was thinking of is it's sort of tangentially related. I would say Eyes Wide Shut.
Ooh.
Yep.
That I think that has elements of it. So I'd go with Eyes Wide Shut, and what was the other one I was going to go with now? House of the Devil was another one I was thinking. Ben Wheatley's Kill List.
Oh, that's a real good one.
Oh.
Yeah.
So sort of, Wicker Man was mentioned, so it's kind of on a similar tip, if you will.
Monster Zero, you are going to be diabetic.
He probably is.
That's not what you do. That's coming from me. Monster Zero drank a whole... This has to be more than a gallon.
It's 3 liters.
How much sugar is in that shit? Let me see.
Right.
Sugar?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
26 grams.
Per serving. Per serving.
Yeah.
How many servings?
About 13.
Holy shit! Are you in a diabetic coma right now?
You'll be up all night.
Damn.
19. Wow.
About 13.
About give or take, yeah.
Don't go 13.
Give or take a coma or two.
Nice, Mars.
Cran death.
All right.
All right, let's go.
All right, so yeah, those would be mine. Kill List and Eyes Wide Shut. A little bit. I think Eyes Wide Shut.
Don't mention Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He gives you a boner every time.
I'm kind of getting one right now. I was thinking about.
You thinking about an NKHJ?
Yeah.
I was telling that story today at the shop.
Were you?
And I acted it out.
You acted it out.
Wow.
No, I didn't really. No, I did the sounds.
The sounds.
Just stop. Don't even do the end. Just stop.
Can we just
It had
end
to
this?
be there. I didn't really.
Can we just end this?
Yeah, so
That's fun.
I'm going to just real quick look at the chat room because there was some talk in there. First Time Mike says, Blind Dead movies rule.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know he loves those.
And Cecil says, yep, Blind Dead trilogy and so many quality movies. Name check tonight. And Leanna says, The House of the Devil is pretty good. Cecil says, oh my God, guys, Kill List. Field in England.
Yeah, Field in England.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my favorite movies the last 10 years. So, yeah. And First Time Mike says, oh, damn, my blood sugar went up just hearing that. All right, well, that is going to do it for this episode. So I want to thank everyone for hanging out for episode 295 of Trick or Treat Radio. Appreciate everyone contributing voicemail, everyone hanging out for the live show. Big thanks to Skip Shea for coming in and hanging out with us for a few hours. And we'll see Skip at the Darkness for Light show in just over a week now. So, and also everyone who checked out the show on the podcast, we appreciate it. If you guys haven't yet, give us a 5-star review. And if you want to get in touch with us, podcast@trickortreatradio.com. We'll see you next week for episode 296.